Welcome back, everyone, to the NECC. We're ready to get started here in week number 1. We've got an exciting matchup for you today here with game number 1 on NECC 2. I am your cast for the night, Paladino, here with Cyro Stims. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just excited for the NECC to be starting back up again. You know, the winter holiday is always nice, but what's better than the holiday is more League of Legends. And so now that we're finally starting it back up in this week 1, I am just excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Could not say it better myself. So for our first matchup of the day, we've got the Navigators Mid-East coming at you here for game number 1, King's College versus Misericordia. And it should be a good one. We saw these teams play quite a bit last semester and put up some good fights in their own respective matches. So expecting more of the same here in week number 1. I know these teams are about to get into draft very, very shortly. We've got some the lineups to go through for you here as well. First up will be King's College. In the top lane, we got Faintest Globe, Christian in the jungle, Voltabis in the mid lane, and around out the bot lane, Souls and Goobasided.
I'm looking forward to this roster to see how it performs. So I'm not too familiar with these teams, but you spoke highly of them, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. So definitely to see how and where they decide to play as well, because identifying who your strong player is and being able to play around them is always a valid win condition as well. So I'm definitely interested to see who's going to step up for King's College right now and who's going to make that initial impact here in week 1 for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think even though I have seen these teams play multiple times last semester, things can always change, especially as the game adapts with different patches and different things being strong. Of course, we aren't having like a major change with the preseason, but still lots of things have changed since these teams last played competitively. In the top lane for Misericordia, we've got Saintly Comic, Soom in the jungle, Oxen there in the mid lane, and of course, around at the bot lane, we've got Meat and Cheesy and Sketchy Pepperoni. Kind of some synergy just in the usernames in the bot lane for Misericordia.
Yeah, it just makes me think of pizza. So if Meat and Cheesy does not play Sivir with that one pizza delivery skin, I'm going to be a little disappointed. Though I know Sivir isn't too strong in the meta right now, so I also can't blame them if they don't. But either way, with that synergy, I'm expecting good things from this bot lane. Especially with cheesy names, you gotta expect maybe some cheese strats there as well. That could be a little bit of a reach there. Well, we won't know until we get into game and the champ select as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be exciting. You mentioned a little bit talking about the meta, and it's always interesting to me looking at these games across the NECC, how much these teams value the meta. I know competitively for my own personal experience, I know early on in these semesters, even though certain things might appear strong at the highest levels of competitive play or even in the meta in solo queue, a lot of the time it's really important and you can get a lot of wins just from playing what you're comfortable with. And I think I'll be interested to see how much these teams value that if they want to opt more towards what we've seen in competitive play across the major regions, or if they just default back to what they're comfortable with, or if there's overlap in those things as well.
You mentioned it there was comfort picks, and even at the professional level, we always hear about a certain player's comfort picks, their sort of go-to champion, the one that they will always go to in an unknown situation. And the start of a season is a bit of an unknown situation as well. So going to those comfort picks is never a bad idea. It's how a lot of people will win games. Is just play comfort, you know the champion, you know your matchup, and therefore you can play a little bit closer to the edge, take a little bit greater risk in game, and hopefully that pays off for you. But on the flip side of the coin, it is week one. So if you're going to be spicy, if you're going to push the envelope and try something new, now is the time to do it. And I know the meta, at least for supports, have been all over the place with everything being played. And I think it's what Zach has a really, really high win rate in 3 different roles right now. He's being what top, mid, support, and jungle. The blob is just all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the meta is certainly interesting right now. I know some things will probably be changing with 13.3, with a lot of melee supports getting buffed. But you mentioned it, especially in the support role. Pretty much everything, as long as as it's ranged, has been played. You know, you have Ashe, Heimerdinger; those have been common since last Worlds. In the LCK and even North America, we've seen things like Caitlyn, Kalista. If it can be played support, pretty much anybody is pulling it out. So we'll see if these teams decide to opt in that same way. And when it comes to the jungle, you mentioned Zach already a little bit because he fits in the same category as a lot of the highest win rate junglers. Mumu, Udyr, Maokai, all going towards that demonic embrace build. They did get nerfed a little bit, but their win rates have really not fallen. But yeah, I mean, I think comfort picks are going to be what takes these teams, especially early on, to the victory screen. Even in competitive leagues in North America, we see comfort picks come out a lot and do really, really well. In the NACL, there is the top laner. I can't remember his team right now. His name's Moose. He plays Garen every single game, and I don't think his team's lost yet. So I don't think, you can't write off somebody's comfort pick just because you think it's weak. If that's what they know how to play to the highest level, then they're going to be successful on it. So we'll see if any of these players here in this first matchup have something they can bring to the table that maybe we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that Moose player, or not Moose player, the Garen player is from Native Gaming. So they definitely have had a really good run in that league as well. So the biggest thing is that when someone's on their comfort pick as well, you have to respect it. It is so bad to just try and ego check someone's comfort pick. You have to show it respect because it's a comfort pick for a reason. They probably know the matchup you're in better than you do, unless it's a very common matchup. But even then, you got to respect it. It's so easy to just overstep, bite the dust, and get turned on. So, like with the Garen, you have that execute, you have a lot of damage mobility, and Garen is a little bit like Singed. You can't really just chase him down either. So who knows what these players' comfort picks are right now, but I'm sure that when we get into draft, we will be seeing at least some spice. We can't have completely bland drafts here in week one. So I don't know. Is there any specific picks you're looking for, Pellegrino?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, like you mentioned, I don't know exactly what these players like to fall back on. I know there's some things that we've seen in competitive play that I imagine will still be played and still be strong across the entirety of the NECC. I think Maokai should have some prevalence. I think we could see some Zach. I know there's some Zach players across the NECC, and it's just something that not only is it really, really strong in the meta with its current build options, it's also not incredibly hard to pilot, especially for something like Maokai. His options are pretty easy, and he allows for a lot of opportunities when it comes to objectives and setting things up in zone control, which I think has a lot of value across pretty much any team. I think if you know exactly what your win condition is and how you can win team fights, how you can win objectives, it makes the game really, really easy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some Maokai. I'm really interested to see what these bot lanes go towards. Um, I know, like I've mentioned, it's all been pushing bot lanes across pretty much every level of competitive play, so I would not be surprised if we saw something like an Ashe support come out, maybe a Heimerdinger. We could potentially see more traditional things, such as something like a Karma, maybe a Lulu. But again, I think that's all going to come down to the draft and what these teams favor. I think there's definitely potential for somebody to be able to get their comfort picks first, and then we get a pick in response that either could be comfort or what they think is a good matchup across all three lanes or even in the jungle. I think when it comes to draft here in just a little bit, we should see the same drafting format that most teams do, picking their bot lane and jungle in that first rotation, trying to give counter pick to those solo lanes. But if you have a high priority pick that you want in at the top lane or the mid lane, either is possible. I'm interested to see, we've talked a lot about the jungle and the bot lane. The champ that's been running over the meta, at least in high levels of competitive play, is up there on the top lane. That's Cassante. But he's not an easy champ to pilot. He takes a lot of skill. I mean, when he was originally leaked and released by Riot, they labeled him as a high skill top laner. And he certainly is that, but he is stomping in competitive play. So I'd be interested to see if we've got any Cassante players, not only in this matchup between King's College and Misericordia, but across the NECC, because not only is that champion incredibly strong, he's also pretty fun to watch. He does a lot of things that nobody else can do on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, not a lot of people can just straight up kidnap you over a wall, but Cassante is one of those champions that can do it. Definitely a fun champ to watch, annoying to play against as well, and because it's had such high priority across so many leagues, including the professional scene, that is one of the few champions I would like to see banned out. Just open up the top champ pool a little bit more. Let's give these players some room to breathe, some agency up there, instead of just making them some meta slaves right now. But as you're mentioning, Zach is another one I would like to see banned out. Just way too strong of a champion. And looks like we are going to be hopping into champ select here.
We've already
And
got
so we do.
some banned away. So Urgot, Olaf, and Gwen taken out, as well as Kaisa, Kassadin, and Zach. Kassadin and Zach both very, very strong, but you can tell some of these comfort picks taken away with the Urgot and Olaf banned out. And I believe this was drafted in a third-party client, so we'll just be going in order here now. But already some interesting picks that I definitely would define as comfort in the top lane. Nasus versus Garen.
Yeah, Nasus versus Garen. It's one of those interesting top lane matchups because Garen does have the early abuse with the Q damage, where Nasus will always scale. It's just one of those champions, and it's hard to stop him once he gets fully online, I'll admit, but Nasus can be stopped early. And with the Garen Sedge synergy there, being able to proc that permafrost on the Sedge kit, he is vulnerable. He is a little bit susceptible to ganks and will have to depend heavily on his summoners for escapes early. But once he has his weather upgraded, he should be able to outrun most enemy competition. But also, the Christian Master Yi. Now, Master Yi is just one of those junglers I absolutely hate to see because no matter what, he always seems to get fed in my games and has that 1v9 carry potential, but also needs that gold, needs that economy to get going. So I'm a little bit worried right now that King's College could be drafting too late game of a composition, leaving themselves a vulnerable early game where they could potentially fall behind and or lose.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. We definitely have very scaling teams or solo laners, excuse me, with the Nasus and the Victor, both needing some items. And if you're Nasus, getting those stacks online, but not as much of the same on the opposite side with Garen not really needing to stack. He can kind of get to one item and be a-okay. But the bot lane has been picked out here for King's College. It will be Misfortune and Seraphine and Twitch Amumu for Misericordia. Amumu, very, very high win rate in the support role in solo queue. Just so many options for easy engage. You mentioned a little bit, and I do like the pairing of the Garen with the Sejuani. Sejuani with melee champs is always going to feel good. But I think drafting no other real melee auto attackers is not something that I personally love when I play with the Sejuani. I like the Nico pick for easy engage, and of course the follow up with an Amumu makes it really easy too. Plenty of lockdown for Misericordia, but not necessarily going to have as many options in the early game with those ganks for the Sejuani. But Amumu's lockdown is not something to doubt early on. At level 1, he gets access to both those bandage tosses, so some early easy engages are certainly possible for Misericordia. Now that we've seen both these lineups here in game number 1, what do you think?
I am of the line of thinking that CC wins games. If you can't lock down your opponent, you can't kill them. And seeing that Misericordia comp is just absolutely beautiful. I'm a little bit worried about their damage numbers, that they may be a little bit low, especially with Nico being a bit more of a burst mid laner than a sustained control mage like the Victor. So I think maybe their sustained damage could be a little bit weak, but they do have enough CC that they could lock down and wombo combo the entire team at King's College and not even break a sweat. So I'm definitely leaning towards Misericordia right now if they can execute their comp properly. Otherwise, I'm going to have to give it to King's College because they outscale, they have more damage, and they're all around just a menace to deal with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I've talked a lot about it in previous casts last semester that I think, especially early on in the semester, if you have teams that are kind of just press R to win, it's not a bad idea at all, and it's a very reliable way to win. And if you're Misericordia, you've got that this game. I mean, Nico ult can fit perfectly right on top of an Amumu ult. You can engage with a Sejuani. Twitch ult on top of all of that is not going to hurt as well. And if you're the Garen, you can just do what most Garens do in solo queue and just Q flash on any carry, press R, and they will probably die. So I think they've set themselves up for an easy path to victory, at least when it comes to that execution. But if they allow King's College to scale and if they get an early lead that they can snowball into the late game, it could be pretty difficult for Misericordia to lock them down if there are Fed members on the side of King's College. But it should be a good one here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And just to make sure the viewers are informed, was that both teams, I believe, lost their second ban phase due to an admin ruling. That is why we only saw the first 3 bans for each team there. So that is intentional as far as I'm aware. But that also means that a lot more champions were left up for grabs as well. So I almost want to dive into the rabbit hole of what could have been taken off the leaderboard or the champ select board here, and how else these drafts may have been shifted. But reality is, these are the 2 compositions that we have. These were the ones that the teams felt most confident in, especially in game 1. This is a game where you want to set the pace. You want to get ahead early. You want to be the one in the driver's seat. And so both these teams, they need to come out swinging. Hopefully, we do not get a snooze fest. I don't think we will, because these teams look like they want to fight, especially the side of Ms. Concordia with the Sejuani is an early ganker. If she's not ganking early, especially that top lane, trying to put Nasus behind, I think that will be a missed win condition there as well. So it really depends on which team gets out of the gate first. I don't think we'll see any level 1 shenanigans, but with an Amumu, you can never rule that out either.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think level 1 is going to be super viable here in this one. And especially, I mean, it's game 1, week 1. You don't want to lose the game at minute 2 if you don't have to. But the option is certainly there, especially for the side of Misericordia. King's College level 1, not as strong, but if they stack, then maybe it'll be okay. We'll see what they decide to do here before we head on to Summoner's Rift. But I do agree, Sejuani, if you're able to go up to the top lane and really set this Nasus behind and snowball your lead and try and get those early objectives especially, it'll make the game very, very easy. We will see what they decide to do and where these junglers decide to path. But only time will tell before we get started here in this one. My only interesting thing that I'm noticing here in the bot lane, we've got Misericordia with the Twitch Amumu. You typically see Twitch paired up with more of an enchanter to give him some supplemental damage because he needs those spikes and those items to really, really get online. But if you have an easy engage tool that can have a lot of layered CC on top of it, it'll certainly be pretty easy as well. But we'll see. When either of these AD carries are very, very reliant on their ultimate, so whoever's got the better one in these team fights as we head to the mid and the late game later on could be really impactful for this one. So we'll see just an early ward drop. Looks like we will have some level 1s coming in as Souls will spot out a Miscreant and should just be able to walk on out. Drops the ward as well, and the ward will fall, so that's some XP. I think the ward XP is only split to 4 people, so not sure exactly who got it, but Misericordia did attempt to look for a level 1, but not going to find any success with it.
Does the ward XP really matter when they got the gold at the end of the day? It's those small mental victories there where it's like, we got that ward. And that also means that for the next minute and a half, whatever that ward cooldown timer is that there's a little bit of a window of vulnerability bot lane that the Sejuani could exploit. I don't think it would happen because Sej isn't the greatest level 2 ganker. But with a Mumu bandage toss there, that possibility is still there. I don't think it could happen. It would be funny to see. But it seems like both junglers will be starting on their bot side and pathing the top. Now, I do believe that both junglers will probably opt for full clear here and meet either in top lane or at that first Scuttle Crab at the 3-minute 30-second mark.
Yeah, I think so as well. Both these junglers just opting for a full clear, at least if you're Christian. I mean, Master E, notoriously a pretty power farm heavy jungler, just wants to scale and get some of those items. So not at all surprised by that, but here in the top lane, it'll mostly be Famous Globe trying to grab as much CS as he can, while Saintly Comic tries to bully him off of that. Garen is notoriously one of the good counterpick matchups in Nasus in solo queue, almost primarily just because that Q for Garen does disable all slows, so as long as you time everything well, you cannot be withered. But it will be a full clear of both these junglers' bot sides, as they're now going to start on their Raptors and Wolves respectively.
Yeah, they're keeping pace with one another, which is always good to see as well. Christian will be a little bit healthier because of that meditate ability that he has on the Master Yi, though that does cost him a few seconds. So I am looking for Zoom on Sejuani here to be the first one set up, to be the first one to full clear that top side as well. But looking at Ruins as well, since it's early game, we have a moment, is that I'm not seeing anything out of the norm here. The curious aspects for me, or choices, is the first strike on Victor. So I'm going to be interested to see how much he can farm that gold with that Ruin choice, especially against a poke-heavy Nico. He may not have a lot of opportunities to farm it. We have Lethal Temple and Master Yi, so if he builds that attack speed, he could absolutely shred tanks like the Sejuani, like the Garen, even the Mumu as well. So Mumu, known for being a tank, could actually be living up to his name as a doughboy and be a little soft and squishy.
Yeah, most definitely could see that here in this one. But you were right, will see some fighting here on the top side crab, but they're going to look first for Zoom as Christian lands the Q. Flash comes out from Zoom, but flash forward means it's first blood for the Master Yi. Miscreant now going to be stunned up, waiting on the Q cooldown is Christian, but he's just going to walk on out. So neither side secures that top Scuttle Crab, as I believe Christian will just walk on down and get the bot side crab for himself. His bot lane's got the push, so they're able to set up for him. So even if Zoom was to make it here in time, I don't think he'll have much fun in a 1v3, but the bot crab's already gone. So first blood and a crab for the side of the Master Yi. Feels pretty good for the side of King's College.
And the difference there was the meditate. Master Yi came out of the full clear a little bit healthier than Sej and enabled him to go right onto the Sejuani without even batting an eye. And it was still a flash for flash, but at the end of the day, the Master Yi comes out ahead, and that's who you want to have a kill early, especially First Blood. Get that extra gold going. And I think Christian, my eyes are now on him to carry this game. He has the early gold, has the early resources, has jungle priority. This Master Yi has everything needed early game. And Nasus does have to burn the early ghost there.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to burn the ghost before level 6. Gonna get a reset off now and see what he's able to get in base. Saintly Comic already able to grab himself a recall once before. Picked up an early dagger. So we'll see what they're able to do with it here in this one. The first Drake is up. Will be the Chemtech Dragon. So no Chemtech Soul here in this one. I always like the Chemtech Soul. Not as much because of the soul benefits that it gives, but I like the map and how much it can change the game just with all the varieties of the plants, especially those enhanced blast cones. But we won't have it here in game number 1. This first crab is still up, so Soom does not get double crabbed, which is at least somewhat of a benefit here for this Sejuani. Will bring him to once again even in CS with this Master Yi. So both junglers stand about even with one another. And you talked about the lethal tempo as the rune of choice for Christian, and he is certainly investing in that attack speed with Berserker Greaves Rush and 2 daggers. So not much attack damage on this Master Yi just yet, but he certainly will be attacking very quickly. We see some fighting here in the mid lane as they look for Volt Abyss, but they're not going to find him. Miscreant uses that Pop Blossom, but will not get it. Does force the flash out of the Victor, however. We see Saintly Comic was starting to move that way as well, but he'll just head back to the top lane.
And Soom did actually cut the clear short for that gank as well. So that actually gives Christian a little bit of tempo in the jungle, because now he's still up one camp as well and looking for the invade here as well. I don't know if he's going to be able to find it or if he's going to look for a gank here on the Garen. But if they get the kill here on the Garen, that could be very nice. But that Garen with the backup of Sej should be pretty safe.
Yeah, has the phase rush as well. They're going to get a TP out of Miscreant. This is great from King's College because they can just walk on out. So they force the TP out of Miscreant, who's already down over 20 CS and is now going to miss this almost this full wave here under the mid-tier 1. Great work from King's College. Get the TP out. You don't get a kill, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not the Unleashed teleport quite yet, so that cooldown's really, really long. So nice work from King's College. I love the movement. We'll see what they're able to do here now. But now, Volt Abyss, no mana, could be in some trouble as the Pop Blossom is not available here for the Nico. Volt Abyss just going to try and walk on out. Soom uses the Q, and now Volt Abyss, he goes up instead. So he's just going to walk all the way around. Some ring around the rosy for him as he's going to start recalling in this bush, but this is dangerous. Soom has the sweeper up, but not going to go for him. Just
okay, that's illegal.
For the blue buff instead, and Volt Abyss with the great escape makes it out in the Misericordia bot side jungle.
That's just illegal, playing around vision like that. Like, Volt should 100% be dead there, but he played it right, walked around the right corners, and also just took a few extra steps that I wasn't even anticipating. Like, normally you would see the Victor go up to the Wolves pit there and recall there. Instead, he walked back to the bush, and that little bit of distance is what got him to safety at the end of the day and was able to get that recall. Now they're looking onto Miscreant here, but I think Miscreant should be safe on this Nico and is looking for a reset there as well. So just wasting a little bit of time for Master Yi there, but I think Master Yi does want to get this dragon, at least the Scuttle Crab. You know, get those extra stats going while you can.
Yeah, Scuttle Crab is definitely going to the hands of Christian here. Did not sweep this ward, so they will have vision on him taking the crab, and they know he walked towards the pit. He will start soloing this one himself. Level 6 is online for both junglers and both bot laners for Misericordia. They know he's taking it now, but keep in mind that Souls did just hit level 6, but no Encore for this Seraphine. He's just going to meditate early to get himself some HP, but now in some trouble as the stun lands, and the Curse of the Sad Mummy means Doughboy kills Christian. They're going to look out of Volt Abyss. He will almost certainly fall as well. There he goes, but the ult with the misfortune means that Soom will fall. Doughboy still alive, but the Victor ult might take him down, force the flash away. Souls Now changes his focus onto Miscreant, but it gets rooted up, drops the heal so he can stay alive. Flash forward means he will live. So the trade winds up to be a 2-for-1 in favor of Misericordia. They stop the Drake and get a couple kills as well. One to the mid laner and one to Doughboy as well.
Though, King's College does get the kill onto the MF there. Victor did get, or has 2 assists, so he's sitting okay despite being down a kill. I would say the gold is overall even in mid lane. But yeah, having that early kill onto the MF now, well, it's nearly 10 minutes in. I guess I can't say it's that early. But still, having that extra gold onto your AD carry does accelerate the game pace just a little bit more. And it makes playing around the next dragon even easier. Or the next dragon fight, because no one actually stayed for that Chemtech dragon.
Yeah, health bar's too low. Nobody opts to stay for this first Drake. We'll see whether either side decides to walk up towards it now. A plate will be grabbed up by Volt Abyss. That's just the benefit of the pressure he's had here in the mid lane. You can see it in the CS difference there, but they're going to try and look for him, but won't find him yet. No crab up, but the Herald is, so Christian wants to start hitting it, but Zoom knows he's there. They're going to pop the Vision Plant, and now, because the top laner for Misericordia, Saintly Comic, has that first move, he will at least deter it for now. They're going to go for him here, as Faintest Globe will get the Wither down, and at least get some damage here onto Faintest Globe. Zoom stops him. Christian going to pop the Highlander, looking first onto the Sejuani. Gets him to about half HP, but won't find him anything yet. Saintly Comic very low, but not going to find it yet. The Sejuani ult will not get it done. Christian grabs 1 kill, looking for the second. Zoom still alive. It'll be a double kill for the Master Yi. Pop Blossom now going to try to get a kill onto Volt Abyss, but he's no longer taking tower, means he's no longer taking damage. Faintest Globe grabs that one, and the Meditate cannot keep Christian alive, but it is a plus 12 for Faintest Globe, so some stacks here for your Nasus and a couple plates as well. Does feel pretty good overall. A good work there from King's College. They absolutely win that trade with only Christian falling.
They absolutely win that trade. Christian picked up 2 kills there. This Master Yi is 3-2-1. He has, 80% kill participation right now. And look, he's going straight towards a Blade of the Ruined King. He's going to be able to shred Garen and Sejuani and the Amumu all that much sooner than before. And I don't think Zoom on the Sej can ever contest some objective solo now. So it's going to be Misericordia playing I'm not going to say a flawless macro game, but they have to be on point. Otherwise, Christian will just get these fringe fights and start snowballing out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Misericordia definitely on the back foot here, down over 2k gold at the near 13-minute mark. Just the benefit of some CS leads and, of course, the kill advantages as well. But Zoom did get this Scuttle Crab first, so no vision on the Rift Herald means that Misericordia will at least get the first neutral objective of the game, with neither side opting to take this first Drake. Still, after that fight we saw a few minutes ago, we'll see if Christian will walk down that way now, as bot lane does have the push, but the wave state will even out here very shortly. Some deep vision getting grabbed up by Souls, and Goob is dead as well. But this first Herald will fall to the side of Misericordia with not much time to grab it for the plate, so we'll need to drop it fairly soon, and Zoom going to walk towards the mid lane. A wave crashing in, but gets taken down fairly quickly. The first Drake will fall to the side of King's College, so neutral objective for neutral objective trade there. And if you're Zoom, I think you understand that you're down a bit in gold, as now Christian going to grab up this blue buff for them. I hand it over to the AD carry, so that'll help out this Misfortune quite a bit to get a blue buff here at level 8, but with turret play falling in nearly 30 seconds, I think it's really a misplay to not try and drop this Herald for turret plates.
Ooh, there's a 1v1 jungler fight right now going on as well. So Christian going for a little bit of a deep invade there, runs straight into Sej, and is lucky enough to just be able to walk that one out. Doesn't even use the Highlander either. So all in all, it's okay. But it does mean that both sides have, I would say, close to perfect vision of the enemy blue side jungle. So because we did see Saintly Comic drop that pink ward and vision ward as well. So it should be pretty straightforward here, but this is going to be a good gank bot, but that's a missed.
Goob's dead, forced the flash. Flash
Ooh.
now from Soom, but the Curse of the Sad Mummy still lands on both souls. Stays alive, now going to use the Misfortune ult, but Soom does not take very much damage from this level 8 Misfortune. So every summoner spell blown, with the exception of that Ignite from the Seraphine. Doughboy finds somewhat of the engage he was looking for. Unfortunately, that second Bandage Tosh not going to find its mark, but you do get the flashes out of both the Misfortune and the Seraphine. No flash on both the mobile carries, or the mobile carry and the support. Could mean some easy engage tools here later on, as long as you fight within the next 5 minutes or so. But no kills is not what you're hoping for here. Christian going to use his Q now on the Crab. Could mean some trouble, but he will do a lot of damage to this Sejuani. But he's at about half HP. Soom now much lower than that, and he will fall. They're looking first for Saintly Comic. Saintly Comic with access to the ultimate means that he gets the kill. They're going to turn their focus here on to him now. Pop Blossom will not stun Volt Abyss as he gets a burst of movement speed. Turns his focus now on to Miscreant, and the use of the W clone means that he'll just walk on out. Famous Globe looking for Saintly Comic. Pops the Ghost. Just needs that Q cooldown to come back up, and he will get the kill. Going to take another tower shot from the Nico route, but another plus 12 for the Nasus. He's already got the Divine Sunderer online. Down a bit in CS, but we'll make that up here now. And it's looking good for King's College with another kill on their hyperscaling top lane.
I feel like this game is almost out of control now, at least in favor of King's College. 2-2 on the Nasus, 4-3-1 on the Master Yi. It's a tough spot for the Mist team right now. I'm not quite sure who they have to play around, because it seems like they're all struggling just a little bit. And with that Mist gank bot lane where they used a lot of their ultimates and didn't get anything except summoners, it felt bad, it looked a little rough. So some cleaner execution, and I think they could start getting picks back over onto this side. But right now, the Nasus with that full mythic item is scary, is terrifying. But Saintly Comic could have the answer here.
Yeah, it does quite a bit of damage on the turn, and now Faintest Glow convinced of what he knows. He got Christian behind him. They're going to look first. Soon walking in. Can't be slowed, even though the Smite will get a little bit of damage off. Silence comes down as well with the Glacial Christian onto Christian, but he will stay alive for now. No ult available for this Garen. Faintest Glow pops his ultimate, give himself some bonus HP, and the lifesteal keeping him very healthy. Meditate going to get Christian to just below half HP as well, so plenty of fighting here in the top lane, but no kills here in the 2v2. Rift Herald now going to be dropped. They got to get this wave in first. Important to note, Famous Globe, no ultimate and no mana, no ghost either, but I don't know if they'll have the damage to kill him on this dive, and this Rift Herald will not take down this top tier 1. So Christian and Voltabus going to look on to Saintly Comic, but he's got the Q movement speed to just move on out of there himself. And that Rift Herald feels okay, because you at least get closer to knocking down the top tier 1, but no plates means there's not a ton of value coming out of it here at the 17.5 minute mark.
And it's also worth noting that Victor in the mid lane has already claimed first tower. It's up 40 CS as well. So even if that Rift Herald got that top tier 1, it still wasn't first tower, so you're still not getting great value out of that Rift Herald. And we can see that gold lead is 2k in the mid lane alone. That is a staggering amount of gold, especially at this point in the game. Half of the gold lead for King's College is on Victor. So I definitely want to see some more resources being put into the Victor. Though, with how they're playing, I'm also just fine leaving Victor in a side lane, because nobody can probably match Victor's strength right now, and he could just keep sieging and poking away at towers. But with the Air Dragon up next, or Cloud Drake, I'm going to assume that both these teams want to stop any Dragon stack.
Oh, but Soul's in some trouble. He gets hit by the Glacial Push and tries to dodge away from it, but dodges right into it. Zoom gonna claim that kill. The Mist stays alive with the cleanse, but will drop to Christian. And they're gonna turn their focus now on to Doughboy, and he will fall. Christian dodges out on the Pop Blossom, looking now for Miscreant. He will fall as well. Triple kill now for this Master Yi, looking on to Zoom. Make it 4. Master Yi with the quadra kill before 19 minutes. Christian, if you thought he was ahead before, he's really ahead now. 8 kills of King's College, 11, and this lead is getting a bit out of hand as the objective bounties come in for Misericordia.
Yeah, I think Michael Jackson wrote a song about Christian, something about being a smooth criminal, because he got away with murder there. And Christian had so many great dodges on abilities there as well, that if he got picked off early, got CC locked early, I think they 100% lose that fight. But because he dodged the amount of skill shots and ultimates that he did, it turned the fight alone. Like, that alone turned the fight into their favor. They then get Dragon. They now get Rift Herald off the back of that as well. And so King's College, they are 100% in the driver's seat. And with that extra solo kill top lane, they've swung the goal further in their way, about the 3K mark. But the Baron actually spawns, so they don't get the second Rift Herald,
Close,
which
not
is
quite.
a
Didn't have
little
the damage.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, unfortunate, but they do get the top tier 1 secured for Fantasy Globe. He got a solo kill up there for himself as well. I mean, I mentioned Garen kind of being one of the listed counter picks in solo queue against this Nasus, but when the Nasus gets 2 kills early on, or early on enough, your counter pick doesn't really matter all that much. He's just got some gold on you, so it makes it very difficult to play. So this one's certainly now in favor of King's College and has been for a while. This lead is only growing up 7k gold here as Voltabish will push in this bottom lane. They're going to keep Fanus Globe up here in the top lane. Nasus, of course, a split pushing menace, so he is just fine up there on his island with a full item advantage on Saintly Comic and a level lead as well. So King College just opting for the 1-3-1 while they wait for these objectives to spawn. They've already got the first 2 Drakes. It will be an Infernal Soul here in game number 1. And when you've got a lot of damage now on this 2-item Master Yi, 2-item Victor, and Misfortune looking for that second item as well, Infernal Soul is not something they're ever going to complain about. Voltabiss gets engaged on, but not going to have any CC landed on him as dodges out on that Nico E. This will be a 3v3 if they decide to take this fight, make it 4v3 with Twitch walking down now. Doughboy looking for souls, but a lot of movement speed on this Misfortune makes it hard. Instantly gets the ult canceled, and now he's in trouble. Souls gets stunned up once again. He will certainly fall. Doughboy flashes away, and the flash forward coming out from both sides. Doughboy picks up one, but Christian goes unstoppable, getting another. Looking first onto the Twitch, gets one for himself, make it 2. Now looking on to Zoom, he does get stunned, knocked up airborne, but will not matter. Triple kill for the Master Yi. This is the solo queue nightmares we've all seen before. A fed Master Yi just one-shots your whole team. It doesn't matter how tanky they are. He's got Kraken Slayer, he's got Bork, and now he's got his eyes on Baron Nashor.
And I 100% approve this call. Going straight to Baron off of a clean win like that is exactly what you want to do. And it just continues
He's gonna
your
get
snowball.
executed.
And that's...
The Baron looks good,
okay.
but
They started Baron a little bit early. I think if Nasus was there to tank it right away, or if Victor TP'd to do it, I think that would have worked out. I agree with the spirit of the call, let's say.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Because it snowballs their objectives and consistently puts pressure on the enemy team. It just doesn't say, hey, we want to fight, now we'll go reset. It's like, hey, we want to fight, now we're taking the next objective, well, you can't do anything. They're establishing the mind game, the precedence that they will run over you if given the slightest chance. And to be fair, Master Yi just bought nearly a full Ginsu's Rage Blade there. That's how fed he is. That's how much money he's earning. That he's buying full items on backs. So I think there's no way to stop King's College at this point unless Misericordia there get an absolute phenomenal wombo combo, which I just haven't seen them do yet so far.
Yeah, I think if you can layer absolutely everything onto Christian, if you get a Curse of the Sad Mummy, 2 bandage tosses, and the Glacial Prison as well, then it's possible. He will be CC'd for the full amount or near the full amount because that Anathema's change from Zoom, I'm almost certain, is on this Master Yi. It's possible, but keep in mind, obviously, Christian is by far the most fed on the side of King's College, but it is still 3 kills on the Nasus with 2 items and 3 items now for Voltabiss on the Victor, so he's going to do plenty of damage as well. It's certainly difficult, but if you can get the wombo combo, it's not unachievable. Voltabiss going to look on to Saintly Comic and absolutely one-shots the Garen. I think, no sweeper available or even in the inventory of Saintly Comic. Does not know he's on the ward and just gets one shot by Voltabiss's 3-item Victor.
Christian
It's
flashing
getting
forward in a 1v3, looking for the Twitch one-shot on this AD carry, but now he's stun locked, but looking first on to one. Christian taking a lot of damage, has the Ignite ticking, but will not drop because of the meditate.
Oh no.
The laser beam will not find the kills just yet, but Voltabiz will get one. The bandage toss to keep his jungler alive. Zoom lives with 1 HP. They were nearly able to pick up Christian on this Master Yi, but not going to find that kill just yet. That would have been 1k in the bank, but nothing there to get. Voltabiz fairly low on mana, and now in some trouble. Flash forward comes out from Saintly Comic looking on him, but the root will not land from Miscreant, but he's way too low. So Saintly Comic will get the kill with the Demacian Justice, but the Baron might just fall instead for a response from King's College. They're going to get this one for sure. Way too much damage coming out from them. They're going to take a reset, so no Baron on their mid laner and some gold in the pocket of Saintly Comic, but definitely not a bad spot for King's College to be in.
Up 12,500 gold or more.
Can't
Could be
complain.
more. My math could be off there because math. Yeah, math. We just don't do that here. We guesstimate as best we can. But yeah, it's a 5k gold lead in the jungle, 6k gold lead in mid lane, and at this point, it's a wallet difference. Voltabiz just puts those gold coins into a pillowcase and pulls it out to whack a Miscreant over the head with, because that's essentially what's happening. Is that there's no way for MU to really survive the gold difference right now. Any member of King's College is just drastically ahead. It's relatively close in bot lane right now between the two pairings, but the other three roles, it's swung so far away from MU that it's going to be hard. And now they're looking for Volt.
Souls and Voltabiz had a lot of trouble. You're going to see the ult coming out. Voltabiz uses the stopwatch, but Doge's going to pick up 1-4 is the encore, and that should mean they win this one. Voltabiz is still alive. Triple kiss for the victor. Quadra kill for the victor. Oh my goodness. I thought Voltabiz was certainly dead there. They win a 3v5. Master Yi not even participating in that one, but so much sustain coming out from this Moonstone Seraphine, and a massive encore means that Voltabiz kills 4 members alone on the side of Misericordia, and now they're just going to end this one hitting Nexus turrets. They're going to triple in-hit them. Both Nexus turrets will fall. This one is done and dusted. Game 1, a dominant win for King's College.
I almost want to say that dominant isn't a strong enough word, because it was a 17,000 gold difference at the end of game 1 here. That is astronomical. Normally the gold difference, I would say, is about 7,000 when it's all said and done. That's what you normally see in a solo queue or team type game if it's relatively close. But 17,000 is, I would have to say, a blowout. We could see it there with Voltabiz, with Christian, even with Faintest Globe. These 3 members of King's College made their presence on the Rift here in Game 1. And in Game 2, there's going to have to be some adaptations to shut these 3 down. Do not give them scaling champions. And especially if they're on scaling champions, don't give them early gold to hit those power spikes early. Because that's where it all started going wrong, when Christian got that first blood and started getting those early game advantages rolling.
Yeah, I mean, you get Blade of the Ruin King on Master Yi. He's just able to kill pretty much anybody on the map. And I mean, Voltabiz got some early kills as well, but kept his farm up really, really high and just got those early items, or got those 3 items really, really fast. And then even when they use everything on him in a 5-man collapse on, at the time, was 2 members, he uses the Zanyas, has access to the ultimate and the W, and just outputs so much damage so quickly. Of course, kept alive by his Seraphine as well, but gets the quadra kill for himself, and of course, that would wind up being the game-ending fight. So great work there from the side of King's College. They take a dominant win with a 17k gold lead here in game number 1, but this is a best of 3, so Misericordia not out of it yet. We've got game number 2 coming at you very, very soon after a short break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NECC. We're about to get started with game number 2 between King's College and Misericordia. Game number 1, if you weren't able to catch it, a big win for King's College. They break the Nexus well before 30 minutes, up 17,000 gold. So a big win for them in game number 1. They're hoping to do the same in game number 2, while Misericordia tries to even things out at 1-1.
It was a pretty monstrous performance on the back of Christian's Master Yi, Volt's Victor, and Faintus Globe's Nasus. Those three absolutely popped off, and to be fair, I can't deny that the Seraphim also had a great encore there in that 3v5 fight, and it just seemed like King's College outperformed their opponent in every area of the game. I did like that Soom was trying to make plays on the Sedge as well, but there just wasn't quite the follow-up damage needed. And unfortunately, Miscreant in the mid lane was kind of like a pile of leaves that was blown away by the wind. Didn't put up much of a fight and got rolled over pretty quickly. So changes will have to be made, and I'm anticipating that at least the Master Yi and Nasus get banned out. Those are generally two champions that you never want to see. A Victor can be dealt with in other means, but those two hyperscaling, you just get them out of here. Just ban them, especially if you know you don't have a ready answer, or the answer you had in game one just flat out didn't work. Try something new. Hopefully it goes your way.
Yeah, we do know that these teams will be swapping sides. So Misericordia will be on blue side here in game number 2. Gives them their prio pick of whatever they decide to go for, whereas King's College will get that counter pick now on red side. So we have seen the draft law, but we won't spoil anything yet before we get into draft. But keep in mind, once we do, that it will be just in order, as opposed to the order in which things were picked. But we can let you know where things were drafted while the draft goes on here in just a few minutes as well. You talked about banning out the hyperscalers because you don't have an adequate answer. I think that's smart. I think if you're the side of King's College, you kind of know that you can go in that direction again if you want to. There's plenty of options for hyperscalers. Obviously, there's different levels to those things. You're not, if Nasus gets banned out, it's hard to find a matchup that's quite as hyperscaling as Nasus, especially because the only things that are as comparable in the top lane are things like Kale, and I think Kale is pretty weak, so not something that I imagine they'll go in the direction in. Whereas if you're Misericordia, it is a little concerning just because your last draft was very press R to win. And even when you did land those ultimates, some we saw in that last 3v5 fight that we already talked about a little bit, they landed everything on Volt Abyss, and he just used stopwatch and then killed 4 out of 5 of their members. So, but that's a lot of that is the fault of that early game handing over some kills to the side of the Master Yi. And then after that, of course, he just gets too far ahead, gets that quadra kill, and then it's really, really hard to come back from. I will say it is pretty good work I saw coming out from Misericordia when they were able to get that first Herald. I think it could have been used a lot better, just to grab some plates. But instead, we're not able to do anything incredibly effective with it. So playing around objectives and stopping some of the scaling and giving some kills over to the scalers is a good idea. But we'll get into draft now. So we'll see Nasus and Cassidon. This next ban will be the Master Yi coming in from the side of Misericordia, taking that off of out of the hands of Christian and Faintus Globe, whereas the Olaf will be the last ban for King's College. So Saintly Comic was 100% known for being an Urgot player in his last split with the team, so not at all surprised to see that one picked up. It was picked up first rotation in in the draft. Excuse me. It'll be a different change in the lineup as well. I'm just now noticing for the side of Misericordia. So we'll still be Saintly Comic in the top lane. Miscreant was the mid laner last game. He's now the jungler. It'll be Oxen on the Silas, and then Meat and Cheesy and Sketchy Pepperoni there in the bot lane. But we've got an interesting mid-jungle duo for red side here in this one. The Yasuo Diana. This was picked up in second rotation. It's always a popular one. It used to be more popular in competitive play. It's kind of fallen off a bit, but still a lot of potential when you've got a Yasuo and Diana on the same side.
It's a classic wombo combo. The Moonfall, I think it was dubbed at one point, or was it Moonbreath? It had a catchy name at one point in time, one way or another. But it's a very easy to execute wombo combo as well. Diana dashes in, triggers her R, then Yasuo triggers his ultimate, and next thing you know, the enemy is dead. But for the side of the Silas, the Zac, the Urgot, these are three relatively beefy members, so I don't actually know if they can be insta-gibbed in that manner. They can definitely die from sustained damage from it because both Diana and Yasuo do put out a whole bunch of damage in their kit outside of their ultimate. So they can die, but there's also a lot of sustain there as well. Silas, a known monster for sustain. And as I'm looking, okay, I was getting baited there by the easier pick. I know I saw the draft vault earlier, so I had to double check that before I talked about it. But yeah, Nazir support pick would definitely be spicy as well, but I didn't think either of these teams would go that far in the spice direction. Either way, I am liking both these compositions. They want to fight, they want to go in, and they want to brawl it out and kill you, which is good to see. So I'm expecting team fights left, right, and center.
Yeah, my only, not necessarily concern, but more question for the side of King's College in this one, because the Yasuo and the Diana were both picked up R4, R5 respectively. I wonder why, if that's the direction you think you're going to go in, why you don't go with the Misfortune again. As we can let you know, the Kaisa was picked up on B1. We saw it banned in the draft of game number 1. If your team's going to be super wombo combo heavy in the mid jungle duo, I think having a Misfortune alt to supplement on top of that is something that I would have liked. I think Jin has some of those options as well. You can, of course, do the curtain call on top of it, but not as much damage all at once. We'll have to see how things go. Last game was definitely not bot lane focused. Soom definitely tried to make some plays down there, but really wasn't able to find much. Both bot laners came out right around even, with just the Misfortune coming out slightly ahead just because the nature of her team being ahead on top of it. But we will see how things go here in game number 2. Obviously, you have the wombo combo, like we talked about, of the Yasuo and the Diana. But you mentioned it. It's not super easy to one-shot an Urgot, a Zac, and a Silas. Silas, not as tanky with his items. When you have Conqueror, you have Kingslayer. He has a lot of built-in sustain. And then Urgot and Zac are always going to be very, very tanky members. And, of course, it is Saintly Comics' signature pick. They left him open the Urgot, so he got the Urgot. We'll see what he's able to do with it in what I hope he thinks for him will be a more favorable matchup, even though he was counterpicked with the Mordekaiser.
And one thing that can never really be overlooked is a Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
The classic hook champion, the kidnap champion, actually, the original kidnap champion would be that Blitzcrank. You know, Cassante is just a poor imitation at the end of the day. Blitzcrank is the one that actually kidnaps you away from your team into his own. And he also has this silence on his ultimate there. And so that silence could be a massive disruptor for the wombo combo that we're looking to come out of King's College right now. You pop that static field, I believe it is, or overcharge, something like that. Either way, the silence comes down mid-wombo combo after the Moonfall, before last breath, and suddenly your wombo combo is disrupted. The chain damage you were looking to put together isn't there. And now there's vulnerabilities in King's College's comp because they've just dived in, and now they're without their abilities, without their movement tools. And moreover, Blitz's ultimate pops shields. So Mordekaiser, Diana, even Yasuo, they all have shields in their kit. And I think Seraphine, to an extent, even does a little bit of shielding. I know she has more heals than anything. So the Blitzcrank pick is actually 5-head. If you can use it right, you'll get absolutely insane value out of this pick. And it sets you up for success no matter what, whether that's in a defensive position where you're pulling someone under your tower, an offense position where you're trying to get picks to set up an objective. It just has a lot of multifaceted tools right now, which can be used to an excellent degree. But at the end of the day, it's how you pilot the champion. So, so the missed support has to step it up because I think that will be the player who has to set up the team for success. Otherwise, Zach, Silas, even Kaisa, they can all dash in. But if you're dashing in, it means you're in range of the enemy. You're brawling, where if you hook them out, you have the advantage full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is important to note that a lot of the damage coming out from Misericordia is single target, even though you do have the AoE of the Zac. Silas, of course, very single target. Kaisa always wants to be diving in single target primarily as well. Urgot not as much so, just because you can almost guarantee he's going to go something like the Titanic Hydra first item. But even still, his ultimate primarily wants to focus down one single target. But you brought it up. I think a lot of this game and a lot of their engages coming out from Misericordia, at least early on, rely a lot on this Blitzcrank. You do have an easy engage tool with the Zac as well, but with a Blitzcrank, you really want to land those hooks and get an early pick. We'll see if they're able to do that now. Sketchy Pepperoni, I can almost guarantee, will want to lead in a invade. I know every time I play Blitzcrank, I want to invade, and they're going to walk as 5 here through the mid lane to start out. It'll be a 5-point start coming out from the side of King's College. Christian, I think, knows all the better, so he's going to drop an early ward. Sketchy Pepperoni walking, leading the charge with the rest of his team, but they will spot him on that ward. Souls now, we'll see that they're stacked here. They're going to walk in now. Gooba's dead, going to walk all the way back to that tier 2 tower. Soul's going to drop a ward, and King's College is going to walk out to safety.
A early game or level 1 blitzing is stereotypical. And if you are doing the expected, you're losing the initiative of the pick, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked maybe to invade that bot side through a bot lane, take a little bit of an alternate path. You would have dodged the first ward and maybe caught out Souls or Gub is dead. Otherwise, go top. Look for the Mordekaiser, who doesn't have an escape level 1 except for a flash. You blow that flash, suddenly Saintly Comic has this massive pressure advantage top lane and could potentially win the game through top. But instead, you do the typical, you get spotted out, you don't even sweep on your way in either, so you don't deny vision, and it just seemed like a bit of a misplay there. But that's okay, that's something that they can easily fix in the future as well. It's not the be-all, end-all here for a level 1 invade, it's just the typical play that's easy to counter. So both junglers now are starting on their red buff, which means they're pathing away from each other, so we shouldn't see a first blood from the junglers unless they both decide to get mid lane and meet up there.
Now, Faintest Globe tanking quite a bit of damage here from Saintly Comic. That's the power of that press the attack, but it does have a health pot to drop. Saintly Comic will use his as well. You did mention both junglers starting on opposite sides from one another, but the clear will be a little bit quicker from Miscreant just because he got that leash. We saw Christian start leashless up there. Level 2 achieved for both of these bot lane sides. Is no hook attempted yet. An early ward going to be dropped now by Sketchy Pepperoni. I think they know because there was a ward on that blue buff that he is A-OK. Voltabus gets ignited. Flash forward from Christian will not find anything, but lands the E onto one, trying to trade on back, but that does blow the flash of your jungler pretty early, so will not have the ability to get a flash off early now, at least right at the beginning of when he hits level 6, but we'll have some time to wait it out before he gets to that power spike here first off. So both these junglers slow down their clears a little bit to head to their respective camps that are still up, as both sides will take their blue buffs now and should get their own respective crabs here in this one. So some fighting in the mid lane, and it's a summoner spell used, but not going to find anything special. We've got a pretty spicy mid lane matchup that we didn't talk about much. A Saintly Comic looking for the solo kill on a Faintest Glow, but not enough damage there in that one. Does get the stun and probably will force the recall out of this Mordekaiser, and almost certainly his teleport as well, with the wave stacking and heading back his direction.
Ooh. Okay, so both junglers are on par. There's a slight advantage right now for Saintly Comic, just from tempo, but it seems like Faintest Globe will just walk it out, actually, because Saintly hasn't decided to crash that wave, so he is stacking it, and Miscreant, I want to say, was spotted out by that River Ward as well. So just getting a little bit of vision, or at least jungle timers down as well. and a potential gank here on Vault Abyss. But Abyss does have the flash up, so I'm expecting that if anything, it's just a pressure gank right now. Try and get that summoner because I don't think they get the kill unless a Vault misplays this.
Yeah, he showed, but Miscreant now looking, gets rooted, thrown back with the Q. Volt still has access to flash, uses the dash successfully, and gets away from all that CC, lands a knockup. Christian is here for the counter gank, but I think they're just going to look to push out this wave here for this Silas. Voltabus doing so well, using the infinite dashes effectively that this Yasuo does have to get away safely without having to expend any of these summoner spells. Great work here to have not only a CS lead, but stave away a first blood death here before 5 minutes after 2 ganks from the Zac. Sketchy Pepperoni flashing in now, lands the knockup. Soul's forced to flash away from the hook, but the hook hasn't been thrown yet. That one will get dodged out once again. Great footwork from Souls there, but now in some trouble. He's going to have to use both the heal and the flash. Meat and Cheesy is very low. Miscreant here as well. Soul's low on HP and low on mana. No health pots left either. He does have one running, so we'll get some sustain back. There is a trap there in that middle bush if Miscreant walks on up. I think they spotted him in that tri-bush, sitting way, way back now as they're looking for this Zac to find an angle, but not going to find anything yet. Sketchy Pepperoni encroaches just a bit, but won't find anything at the moment. So this one should just be pushed in by Meat and Cheesy, but Sketchy Pepperoni and Miscreant both hovering now as the Hex Flash from one bush to another, I think. We'll see. They still haven't spotted him on any vision just yet. Souls has no mana. Hook lands on Gooba's dead. He flashes on away, but still gets hit by the Zac Q. Now looking on to Souls. Flash forward. Great play from Miscreant as the first blood goes to Meat and Cheesy. That's the power of the Zac. He lands the Q onto one, flashes forward to secure the auto on another, and that gives that first blood gold to their AD carry. That's exactly what you're hoping for. Now, I'm trading here on the top lane as Famous Globe will tank some damage, heals a decent chunk of it back up, but that'll be all as he pushes this wave in. Christian tries to find something, but will not get anything from that lane game.
I have to commend Miscreant for their patience there, because they did wait a long time that alcove. It does eventually pay off, but it was a risky gamble, because if you don't get something, you're giving up a lot of tempo to your opponent. And so Christian was roughly ahead 2 camps, make that 3 camps once the buff is completed. And so that's a fair amount of XP in favor of Christian right now, but because Miscreant was able to make that gank work bot, it does even out, I would say. It's still not great being behind tempo against a Diana who wants to be a little bit of a power farmer, but at the end of the day, it works out. Your team is now ahead. It's only a 200 gold difference, but having a lead is much, much better than where they were last game, where they were already starting to bleed gold at this point in the game.
Yeah, definitely feels a lot better, especially getting that first blood kill for your AD carry. Gives him full pickaxe over Souls here in the bottom lane, so feels pretty good. Voltabis going to drop a pink ward there in the river. Miscreant is here over the Raptor as well, but Oxen is pretty low, down a level as well, but a big wave should recuperate most of this XP. Takes the Yasuo ult and will get it from Miscreant, and now he's in a lot of trouble. Voltabis will fall instantly, drops the Ignite to try and get something onto Oxen, but that's the power of the Zac gank, especially with the Silas into the Yasuo. He can just take the Yasuo ult and effectively have the benefits of a Zac Yasuo bottom lane, but it's a solo kill in the top lane all the meanwhile, so Faintest Globe grabs one for himself, uses the Death Realm, and grabs that kill. So a CS lead for Christian, but some good participation here in this one so far. Oxen chances his recall coming in now, looking on to 2. The ulti coming down. Ooh. Oxen will fall, and Christian's still alive, looking now on a Miscreant, but Blob's available, but he's not going to get onto it. He flashes onto it to cancel the HP, but now the Blobs are up. Voltabis is here as well. Might try to give this one over to the Yasuo, but Christian will get it himself. So 1-4-2 is successful. Stun now down on to Meat and Cheesy. One more shot. Souls grabs the kill. Meat and Cheesy will not fall to the Ignite. Dodges out on the W. Some fancy footwork there to keep him alive, and that feels bad for the Misericordia bot lane as you get your jungler to come in and give you that first blood, and then you die in the 2v2.
and you're going to have to lose a wave as well. 2 low HP is Meat and Cheesy, and now the first Drake will fall to the hands of Christian and King's College as well. So a great turnaround. This game at one point was 2-0, now 2-4, and the gold lead has swung to the favor of King's College.
I hate to say it, but with that series of events, King's College, they've swung the momentum of the game firmly in their favor. They're up 1.2k gold. They have leads in multiple lanes again. And once more, King's College, their solo lanes are the star. But their bot lane is showing up a little bit more in this game, which is a good look. It provides another avenue of attack, per se. But really, Faintest Globe being up is great to see. But once more, it's Christian in a 1v2 situation, gets both of them. Does, I would say, waste the flash, but at the end of the day, it was to guarantee that Zach went into his passive, so I can't blame Christian for playing that on the safe side. But either way, 1v2, you get both kills, especially against people who are known for sustain. But Globe...
Miscreant looking on a Faintest Globe will get pulled back with the Q. The stun now coming out, but now he goes into the Death Realm looking first for this Zach, doing plenty of damage, but the pullback won't land. Looking onto him now, there goes the Let's Bounce from Miscreant, trying to get one, but not going to find it yet. Has the W to keep him alive, but he is ulted by this Urgot, and it will expire. Faintest Globe in the 1-4-2 gets one. Meat and Cheesy does grab a kill on to Voltabyss. All the meanwhile, I want to say that was a 1-4-1 in the mid lane, though. I think they 3-man collapsed onto this Yasuo, and he wound up picking up the kill onto Oxen regardless. So this Mordekaiser becoming a problem. Christian already got one of these neutral objectives. Last game we saw these traded, but he's going to get the Rift Herald now for himself as well. When your solo lane, especially top lane, is winning this hard at this point, it's very easy to secure something like a Rift Herald even without movement from your bot lane, and he's got time to drop this for plates as well.
2.5 minutes, fair amount of time. It definitely means that they can pick and choose where they want to drop it as well. With Faintest Globe running amok in the top lane at this point, I would say just leave the Mordekaiser alone. You don't need to put any resources into him. Instead, maybe look to put it bot, actually, and use this for the next dragon that's coming up in 2 minutes 30 seconds. So yes, you would be dropping the Rift Herald a little bit early, but if you win that fight, it would then be an easy transition into that second dragon, which is a Mountain Drake, and having those extra defensive stats will always feel good on the likes of a Mordekaiser and Diana. The rest of the team doesn't really care about it too much, but those who especially like those stats, as they got to dive in. And now Saintly Comic under fire.
In some trouble. Flashes away, uses the dash as well. So one ultimate from Christian traded for the flash and the dash of Saintly Comic, and the Rift Herald now going to drop for some plates here. He does clear out the wave plenty quick, but Rift Herald nerfs means they only get a plate and a half. Just a little bit left on this third plate. However, Faintest Globe will almost certainly secure this one with Saintly Comic sitting below half HP. Oxen very low in the mid lane as well, and he at some point used his Yasuo ult, that or it just expired. And now some trading in the bot lane. Goob is dead in a lot of trouble, and he will fall quickly as the Encore doesn't even go off. The Flash not able to keep him alive. That is the power of the Blitzcrank, even if you at some point lose in a 2v2. If it's a squishy support and an 80 carry, landing a hook onto either means you can certainly get a kill, especially with so much single target damage on this Kaisa. And a Kraken Slayer already finished for Meat and Cheesy as well. Very strong. This Kaisa could prove to be a problem as we get later on if they're not able to shut down Meat and Cheesy anytime soon.
Agreed. And, I went on that whole spiel about how they could save Rift Herald for a bot play into a dragon. Instead, Christian drops the top, which is perfectly viable. Because one train of thought is that you play to your winning lane and you invest more resources into it. Now they're looking for Voltabyss again, but Christian is here, so this is going to be a 2v2, and that's going to be a nice combo onto Miscreant. Is able to escape there.
Just lives with the red buff. Yeah, the last breath not able to secure the damage. Miscreant is forced to recall. Now only 15 seconds left on this Drake. The Diana ult is still up. So they've got that for the objective. And now Christian might not be alive to tell the tale. He will fall. Shut down. Goes over to Meat and Cheesy. The hook lands from Sketchy Pepperoni. He's landing his hooks, and he's getting the job done. Great work there from them in this one. Bringing the gold lead to just under 1K now for King's College. It won't secure the objective for them just yet, but does give even more gold over to this Kaiso. Now 4-0, 4 out of 5 kills for Misericordia.
And I think Christian was a little bit arrogant there, not respecting the blitz potential to hook and then the silence. So I think they just had to give that a 1-up. But Voltabase now under pressure here with the Ignite down, is able to walk the tower, does have flash up as well. So should be relatively safe, and I'm glad he didn't have the Lee syndrome there where he took that ultimate in. But now Faintest Globe comes in with the TP, and this could be another 2v2 fight here.
Yeah, this is a good angle from Faintest Globe. Fast forward, the E canceled, but he got over the wall first, so canceled the Death Realm from Faintest Globe once he went out of vision, but forced to use the flash. Now the TP coming out means that this dragon will certainly belong to them, but they might have to drop the top tier 1 for it. You can see Saintly Comic, if you look to your mini-map, just absolutely demolishing this tier 1. Plates have already fallen, but it is still fairly healthy for now. The second Drake certainly going over, but half HP, and it's an Urgot, means that this tower can definitely fall, so would be an influx of gold here for the side of Misericordia, as that one goes on over just before Volt Abyss is able to grab that mid-tier 1. Unlucky for the side of King's College, not able to get the tier 1, but that's okay, as Volt Abyss gets plenty of gold for himself as well. And a big CS lead means that he's up plenty of gold on this Silas too.
Yeah. CS gold, tower gold, however you get gold is beneficial to your team as well. And it's only 700 gold this time. It's not the monstrous lead that Volts had last game. So seeing that be a little bit more balanced is good to see. Misericordia is playing a much better game. Don't get me wrong. They're still down about 600 gold, but they're doing better. They've stabilized game 2. They're down 2 dragons. Towers are even. So all in all, they're in a decent shape. And they have a bright spot. Meat and Cheesy. It's just a name you love. It's a player you love right now as well, especially being 4-0-0. It's the win condition you have to play around right now. And if they can't enable this Kaisa going into the mid and late game, I think they could stumble and falter here. But they still have hope.
Yeah, if they can't enable the Kaisa, or if they can't protect this Kaisa, it could prove challenging. That hook goes wide, very close on to Souls, but I think if King's College looks to engage, but first it'll be Miscreant. He misses the Q, but it does not matter. Meat and Cheesy goes unstoppable as Souls dies absolutely one shot. I mean, most champs can't do that, but Zach can. Miscreant taking advantage of the options his character brings here onto Summoner's Rift, grabbing that gank angle for his squad. So now Misericordia only down 200 gold. The second Rift Shard will be picked up by Christian here. This bot tier 1 will almost certainly fall as that Encore goes very wide and secures that one. Volt Abyss looking for the 1v1, making a 1v2. Looking at a Miscreant first. The Ignite goes down. He will get into his passive now. The Diana is here as well, but they still haven't picked up the Zac. Christian does get that one. Oxen flashes away. Christian looking to keep up the pace, but will not find it yet. That Q goes wide. Instead, they'll just drop the Rift Herald to try and pick up this mid tier 2. Got a couple of minions, and Oxen with no HP means that this one will certainly fall and will almost definitely get a hit on this inhibitor turret as well. Not many creeps left. They're just going to let this one be and let it hit that inhib tower. So a lot of damage down. Means we'll see some sieging into the mid lane later on, but so far just some nice plays in the mid lane from King's College after some nice plays from the bot lane by Misericordia.
I like that King's College didn't overstep there with the Rift Herald push, because I thought that they may go for that inhibitor tower as well, because Oxen was so low and either had to back off or maybe look for a cheesy fight that, you know, they take that inhibitor tower as well, but they get the charge or ensure the charge and then walk off. They played it smart, played it safe, and now they were also stripping some of the jungle as well. So this puts Miscreant behind as well, and Miscreant is down 50 CS right now as well. So the jungle disparity is pretty massive. 2 levels, 50 CS, 3 kills apart. That's nothing that you can scoff at. And so right now, Christian and Voltibus, they're looking good. Faintest Globe still in maybe a bit less of a monster than he was before, but still a nuisance in the top lane. He can hold his own against Saintly Comic, and you can tell that they want this pick pretty badly in the top lane.
Yeah, Saintly Comic is respecting. He doesn't see that Voltibus is here, but I think he knows that Mordekaiser alone is pretty dang strong against him. So he's just going to respect at below half HP that he does not land. So Voltibus, I think, will finally fully channel this recall and head to base. But now Soul's in some trouble. Gale forces away, but still gets pulled back by the Zac. And Meat and Cheesy goes godlike. 7 kills now on this Kai'Sa. And Kai'Sa is one that can absolutely carry a game, but it is the responsibility of Misericordia to defend this AD carry. And if they're not able to, then it could spell trouble if this big shutdown goes to really 4 out of 5 members of the side of King's College. Get You Ever on his hook goes just a bit short, as this Drake does spawn in 13 seconds. The Wombo combo is available, though. Christian has access to the Moonfall. Chains will not land. And the Last Breath available for Volt Abyss as well. We'll see if they want to try and contest this one, but no vision means it's hard to get in, and now with Silas having access to that Encore, I don't think they're going to try. 4v3 would have been the fight with their AD carry still in base, so Misericordia going to grab their first Drake of the game. It will be a Cloud Soul here in this one.
Overall, Misericordia played that one near perfection. They got priority mid, they got a pick on the AD carry, and then they rotated the dragon and controlled vision. As we saw, there was no way for King's College to step into that river without sacrificing at least one person. Even then, it probably would have been more with the turn that would have for sure happened there, because as you mentioned, Silas had Encore, could easily turn that around. And a great hook there, Pepperoni.
There goes the Encore, and Voltibus will live with the flash. Throws out the wind wall as well, forcing the flash out of their mid laner. The shield bow keeping him alive, and will be a trade of tier 1s as the top tier 1 falls from Misericordia, and the mid tier 1 falls after the siege from Misericordia as well. Christian now potentially in some trouble, gets knocked up by the Zac, but he's 2 items. He's got Jack Shell. They're going to turn their focus now on a Saintly Comic. He's got access to the flash, instead just going to use his E-flash forward from Christian, forces the flash out of Saintly Comic, but now they're getting collapsed on. This is a 5v2. I mean, one member can get out, but Christian now in some trouble. The ult coming down means that both will fall. A great ultimate. Fear Beyond Death secures Saintly Comic the kill as Faintest Globe
and they move the Baron
to his hands. And now, yes, like you mentioned, they move the Baron, and high HP levels for everyone means this one will definitely fall. Misericordia, they're back in this one, and now they're in the lead. They're up 1k gold now, and that's going to skyrocket after this Baron falls here shortly. I mean, not much else they can do from the side of King's College. They try to get a pick on the Urgot. They force his flash, but they go way too deep, and Misericordia responds perfectly.
I'm a little bit torn here. I would love to see King's College contest that Baron even as 3. Yasuo is by no means weak. He's relatively okay, but even just the pressure of a last curtain from Jin there, you know, that 4th shot on the ultimate could steal Baron away there. So I definitely would have liked to see that popped, even if it was just one of those 1 in a million chances. It means you're looking for it. You're trying to get in your opponent's head because it applies pressure to them. And any pressure you can apply is generally good pressure. So just collecting a couple minion waves, sure, that's fine, but it's also not great either.
Yeah, not fantastic, but I mean, they do have to be careful if you're the side of King's College. I mean, this one already starting to slip, especially after losing that Baron, but especially this Kai'Sa now on 3 items. The Navori Quickblade's finished for this Misericordia AD carry means that Michizi going to be doing a lot of damage here in this one. They need to find a way to shut down this Kaisa. And if they can, that'll really change the tides of a fight. I mean, we still haven't had a full-on 5v5, so we'll see how both these teams respond with one another. I think if you're King's College, you certainly don't want to fight a 5v5 right now, just because of the Baron buff. But the mid-tier 2 will fall. They're going to keep on pushing here to look for this inhibitor turret. Won't find anything just yet. Flash forward, lands the hook on to Gub is dead, and he is dead nonetheless. There goes the ultimate coming down from Christian, but no last breath to follow. Voltabus still looking. Double kill already going over to the hands of Meat and Cheesy as Souls will pick up the support. Here comes the curtain call. Voltabus looking for that tornado. He's got it stacked up now. Dashing forward. Does not land it on to Miscreant. And just not enough to follow up there. Unfortunate. King's College almost had the angle, but they didn't have the wombo combo come down. We saw the Moonfall coming out from Christian, but no Yasuo ult follow-up means that they're not able to find the exact engage they're looking for. And now it's 10 kills on this Kaisa.
And what we saw was the Zanyas coming out of Oxen there. We saw Volts have an amazing Zanyas played last game. This time it was Oxen having the Zanyas in that fight to just stall time, to disperse some of the damage as well. And because of that, it allows them to have a better victory there in that fight. And while they still couldn't crack the inhibitor tower line there, they still won in the fight. They still got pressure. They still got gold. And that means they can rotate to other objectives as well, because the fourth dragon of this game is spawning in, 5 seconds? TPs are coming in. There will be a fight for this dragon. If there isn't, I will be shocked.
Yeah, this will be a 5v5. We're going to see Saintly Comic push out this mid wave first. The first hook goes wide. Christian looking in. The Moonfall lands on a 2, and it landed on Meat and Cheesy. Voltabus now looking for the Zeta carry and will fall. Gone. Christian instantly picks up that one. They're going to turn their focus now. Oxen looks to get one himself. Gub is dead, nearly dead as well. Oxen will go down. Voltabus about half HP. Oxen in Zonias, but cannot live through this one. Christian looking forward. He's got the dash. Stays alive for now. Saintly Comic picks up one. He goes on a killing spree. The Brute secures the kill from Souls, and this one is a King's College victory. It does not matter. And that's what I talked about. You have 10 kills on this 80 carry, and no one else is particularly strong. So even though you get a couple members back, as Voltabus and Gub is dead both fall, it is a win for King's College as they go three members left alive. 2 for 5 is the trade. A clean ace brings them to Soul Point.
Ooh. Oh, I have to say, Christian had a great look there. As soon as Sketchy Pepperoni on this Blitzcrank missed that hook, Christian dived it right away. Volts on the back of that with Yasuo to combo the wombo there, and then they both continued the dive onto Meat and Cheesy after that Killer Instinct escaped came through. It was a great look, and they won the fight there. And to your point, Palladino, is that even if the rest of your team isn't strong, you need to at least be able to peel for the person that is strong. You don't necessarily have to kill them or kill the enemy, but you at least have to protect your own. And without that hook, without the static charger, they were a little bit separated and they couldn't peel Meat and Cheesy. I think maybe the Killer Instinct went the wrong direction. Maybe the cleanse could have prevented some of that damage coming across. But either way, you got to protect and peel. You have to peel for this Kaisa, for Meat and Cheesy. You just can't let Meat and Cheesy be saucy too and be left alone.
Yeah, that is the negative of this cleanse take. I mean, it is good into the Seraphine. Voltabus tries to dodge out on that one, but not able to yet. There goes the Windwall. They're looking first on a Miscreant, but the W from the Jhin will not land. So, a decent engage coming out from Miscreant, but all he does is take some damage. Sketchy Pepperoni, hook goes wide, and now it's a 3-man Moonfall, and instantly Meat and Cheesy is dead, as there is the wombo combo. Souls picks up one. They're going to look now on to Oxen. They're on top of a TP as well. Both of us flashing forward, lands the tornado. Zanya keeps Oxen alive for now, but not for much longer, as Christian picks up that kill. They're going to turn their focus on a Saintly Comic, but won't find him. 4 dead, all 5 left standing for King's College. This inhibitor will certainly fall. I don't know if they've got time to end or if they've got the wave to do it, but
they have a cannon minion.
Just try. They do have a cannon minion. They're going to turn their focus on a Saintly Comic. He dashes on out. Christian dashes back in. It is a Jack show on this Diana. Shut down instantly. Goes to 1. Saintly Comic gets 2, but it's a double kill Now for the Urgot,
Triple.
make it 3. So I
Whew.
think King's College gets a little bit too greedy there. Only 4 members deep. They think they can get a kill on to this Urgot, but he's 3 items. I mean, he's very, very strong, very, very tanky. So he gets 3. That should mean almost a 4th item completed now for him. As Misericordia going to look on to Faintest Globe. Souls dodges out on the W from Meat and Cheesy. Means he cannot get hit with that Killer Instinct. And Faintest Globe now looking for the 1v3. Of course, got the Gen ult on top of it. Faintest Globe not able to enter the Death Realm, so it'll just be a shutdown going over to Miscreant. And now Baron is up, so King's College might have made this one a little bit harder on themselves than they needed to. Christian's still dead for 3 seconds. Voltabis respawning now. I don't know if they can get to this in time, and so much damage coming out from Misericordia means that another Baron goes to them.
Yep. And once more, the gold lead flip-flops back and forth between these two teams. Now, what's unfortunate is that I think King's College could have ended there if they just focused the towers. Because those towers put in work and guaranteed the kill onto the Seraphine there at the end as well. So I think, yeah, if King's College just focused the Nexus towers instead of going for the kill, they could possibly maybe have ended. It would have been a risky call, but more guaranteed than what they did do. Either way, they also could have just backed off those towers, got Baron, and then won the game on the next push. Instead, it's going to be blue team picking up the Baron once more. It's, what, the second or third Baron this game? There's been a couple Barons at this point already. And now, Soul Point for King's College is up for grabs. So, MU Esports, they need to step it up. They need to win the game while they have Baron and before Soul comes through for King's College.
Yeah, they do have the Baron for themselves to try and push out some of these waves, and they certainly have this position early on. Right now, only 4 members near this Dragon Pit for the side of King's College. They are going to have their Mordekaiser just continue to push here. I mean, if you're King's College, you can afford to give this one, but I don't think you have to. They're just going to try and push out waves for now. This isn't bad from the side. You see Faintest Globe just pushing here in the top lane, and he is all alone. No one starting to recall just yet. Finally, Saintly Comic starts the channel, but doesn't yet. So Faintest Globe can just continue to push, as it will be a 4 versus 5. We already see 1 dead as Souls falls to the hand of Meat and Cheesy here onto this Dragon. Christian goes for 1. Now Saintly Comic dives onto the back line. There goes 3 members down. 3 members, ulted by Christian, but that will be the Dragon handed on over. Remember, this one a 45 the entire time, and the Killer Instinct means that Meat and Cheesy gets 2 for himself. But Faintest Globe, he's just hitting Nexus towers. He's not going to be able to find one yet as he gets stunned up, trying to get one. Finally gets... No, he will not get one. He will fall instead. Saintly Comic picks up that kill. Sketchy Pepperoni looking on a Voltabis, and Meat and Cheesy in some trouble. Knocks up one, looking on a Meat and Cheesy, but cannot find it. So it's an ace for Misericordia here. I think just a little bit of disconnect from King's College, especially once Souls got picked there early on in that Drake fight. I'm not sure exactly how that transpired. With the Baron buff still active and now this wave coming in, certainly not what you're hoping for if you're King's College. I think this one the curtain call will deter them for just a moment. Low health bars means they cannot grab this bot tier 2, but I mean, on the flip side, if you're King's College, you are now down a decent amount of gold, especially after getting aced. You don't get the soul either, but it is 2 inhibitors down here for the side of Misericordia, with the Nexus turret fairly low HP as well. It will regen some of that, but I think once this Baron buff expires, it will be difficult. TP now coming down from Faintest Globe. The root going to land on to Oxen. He does have access to the stopwatch, but he is getting taken out here. Not quite yet. Get some healing from the W. The Encore will land on the 1, but Oxen goes in to the Death Realm. Now looking for Faintest Globe. Goes in to the Zanyas. He is not winning this one just yet. He will fall now to the hands of the Mordekaiser. Blitzcrank trying to find something, but not going to find anything. Souls grabs the kill. No curtain call available means no slows from the Jhin. Christian trying to find something, but not going to find anything quite yet. Great turn there from King's College, just knowing that this is their angle to try and find something, and they do just that. Miscreant with some trading here on to Christian, the spot tier 2. Not even close to falling. This mid inhibitor has respawned. Great W. Means the Miscreant will get rooted on up, but no more CC. It means he can just jump on out. The inhibitor now will fall. They've got a wave here in the top lane and the mid lane with supers in the top lane. And Oxen as well as Sketch Pepperoni are both dead. This is a 5v3. Both Moonfall and the Oswald are available. The jump is going to land on the one. There goes Christian just looking at him. He's instantly one-shot now at about half HP, but the trading going back. Christian fairly low. Miscreant low as well. Voltibus looking onto the 80 carry, and he picks up one. That should do it here in this one. All 5 members still left alive, but not for long. Voltibus will certainly fall. He goes down there to Oxen. Christian in the back line. Not going to find one yet, but he will go down. Oxen will get stunned up. Now looking on to Souls. He will fall. Faintest Globe
it's the turn.
left alive. He's looking now on to this top laner, and he will go down. So once again, King's College just cannot get it done as cleanly as they would like. I thought once Meat and Cheesy fell that they would be able to clean this one up, but not able to, as only 2 members fall on the side of Misericordia. A Nexus turret falls as well. They get another inhib, but it looks like King's College just getting a little bit too aggressive, trying to make these plays, not able to find them. The only member left standing is Goob is dead.
And look at Baron timer. There's 30 seconds left until Baron respawns right now, which means that King's College cannot respawn in time to set up properly for the Baron. So once more, Misericordia have the Baron advantage. They will have setup, they will have priority, and they can either look for a pick, just rush the Baron down if they're there in time, because Kaisa at 14, 3, and 5 will absolutely shred this Baron. This Kaisa is full build. Full build Kaisa. This Baron does not stand a chance.
With a Zonia's, and I don't think Christian can get here
They don't see it.
Time, and yeah, no vision. They can't get in, so the Baron falls once again. The third Baron of the game goes to the hands of Misericordia. Now 40 seconds left on this, what would be Cloud Soul for King's College. Enhanced recalls means that Misericordia is able to get here with plenty of time, but you can see King's College at least acting like they want a death bush. They'll show themselves with a vision plant. We're going to look first on to Sketchy Pepperoni. Voltibus could be in some trouble. The look goes wide, and now he's in potentially a bit of a pickle, but Sketchy Pepperoni going to flash on out. He's A-okay, but as the way to get out, the locket keeps him alive. Just barely. Great block from Meat and Cheesy. Defends his support. Baron buff will stop these supers from getting too far in, but yeah, that's low HP, so now they might try and turn their focus on to this objective.
Oh, okay, they're on the objective, and it seems like
they do get
Misery there is going to be getting that soul up there. What I was interested to see there, if they can test that, was that Christian and Souls had used their ultimates. So therefore, King's College was down the ult economy game there, at least for that fight, which meant that MU Esports had the opening. And now Faintest Globe is going onto Ox, and here Pepperoni doesn't get the hook either. So we're at the point of the game at 37.5 minutes in, where we're basically playing ARAM. Any fight mid that results in a wipe could result in either team winning the game. Anyone has enough damage to kill a tower, let alone multiple towers. So really, one team fight is all we need anywhere on the map for the other team to just rush the base at this point. Because Saintly Comic on this Urgot 9.5 is also a monster. With the Jack Show, Thornmill, Force of Nature, Black Cleaver has more than enough HP to tank a tower. You also have Miscreant there with Radiant Virtue, Spirit Visage, who can also tank a tower as well. So if MU has the chance, they can just tank the enemy base to win it like that. So
hook
that's
lands
a great
onto
hook
Souls,
there.
and that means he will fall. Sketchy Pepperoni finds an incredible angle. Cleanse comes out from Meat and Cheesy. They're going to turn their focus onto Miscreant, but they can't find him just yet. Saintly Comic TP's on in, as Miscreant will dash on out. Oxen goes on a killing spree as Voltibus will fall, and now Christian will certainly fall as well. Meat and Cheesy picks up one. Saintly Comic gets the kill in the jungle as Faintest Globe will go down. Long death timers on everyone. That's the impact of the Blitzcrank. Souls gets hit with that hook from out of vision, and now with such long death timers, I think Misericordia is going to look to just end this one.
They have the time to do it, and I don't think a Seraphim has the same killing potential that Urgot has underneath towers. Doesn't even have the Encore up as well. So it is going to be MU Esports just rushing the base. The base is theirs. It took 3 Barons, it took 6 Dragons, but at the end of game 2, they reign victorious, and they will be pushing this series to a game 3. A great comeback performance here for them.
Yeah, King's College had so many opportunities and they just threw them away. I mean, there were so many times in that base where they were at those Nexus turrets but could not find the angles they were looking for, had too many dead, too many people get picked off, and just fights go not as cleanly as you were hoping for. It looked like they had the advantage there for a while, but great work from Misericordia securing those Barons. I think King's College just not really respecting those timers on that massive objective and falling there in that one. But that is the end of game number 2. We're all knotted up now 1-1 here between King's College and Misericordia. When we come back, we'll have game number 3. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to what will soon be the start of game number 3, King's College versus Misericordia. We saw King's College win big in game number 1. They end the game before 30 minutes, 17K gold lead. Misericordia were starting to lose it in game number 2, but some unfortunate plays from King's College gave them 3 Barons and the eventual win in game number 2. So this next one is the deciding one. We already got a 3-game series in week number 1. I think I only had like one of these last semester, so I'm excited. We got 3 games. We're already getting into drafts. Remember that this draft will just be in order of just the position order, not the order in which the champs were drafted.
Ooh. I have to say, when you start off week 1 with a banger, it's always a good feeling. And game 1 was a banger for King's College, at least. I wouldn't say Misericordia considered game 1 a banger because, well, they got banged, But game 2, it was fantastic to see. It was back and forth consistently. King's College was at the Nexus twice, pounding on the door to victory. But Misericordia just absolutely stuffed the door. They locked it. They were cosplaying as Hodor from Games of Thrones because they held that door shut. And because they did so, they were able to then open it up for victory later on in the game. As you mentioned, Palladino, they got 3 Barons. Getting 1 is usually enough to end a game. Getting 2, usually the game is over at that point. But getting 3 Barons, it definitely means it was a hard-fought game for both sides, especially when King's College was the team that got the Dragon Soul as well. There was 6 dragons taking that game. That's a fair amount of dragons. And so now in this game 3, I think both these teams have each other figured out. They know how they want to play. They know what the enemy will be playing like as well. And we see once more that King's College, back on blue side, have opted for some scaling picks. Kassadin is your number 1 scaler. Whenever you think of a late game scaler, you either think of Kale or Kassadin. And Kassadin, once he's hit 16, is expected to win the game. And because this is done in pick order, not draft order, Kassadin was actually blue first pick as well. That's how much faith King's College has been putting in Vault Abyss, and they expect him to be able to carry game 3. And in all honesty, I expect that too, because Vault has been solid in both games so far, and Christian on the Nocturne is right there providing ample support for his teammates.
Yeah, the Kassadin was banned away in games number 1 and 2. The first time we've seen it make it through. Even the option to be drafted here is in game number 3, and Voltibus picks that one up for himself right away. So I know we said this one was being drafted in select order. I'm going to assume that they're just in the wrong order and that it is not Caitlin top, Graves AD carry. It could be, I suppose, but if that's the case, I will certainly be interested. So we've got the drafts here coming in now. On blue side is King's College. They got Olaf top, Nocturne in the jungle. Olaf, Nocturne were those last 2 picks of the draft. Kassadin in the mid lane we mentioned was on B1, B2, B3, Ezreal, and Seraphine. So for the side of Misericordia, they're going to have the Graves, Maokai, which we already talked about before. Game 1, even incredibly strong. Anivia was the pick into the Kassadin. They picked that up on R1. It will be the Graves, Amumu, and Caitlyn to round that one out. So I'm going to say, like I mentioned, I'm going to imagine that these players are just not in order, which is why the Caitlyn is appearing in the top lane. If it's Caitlyn top and Graves jungle, or excuse me, Graves AD carry, I don't like it. I think that's quite bad. We'll see. I think it's very hard to play Caitlyn top into an Olaf, especially even like level 1. If Olaf lands 1 axe on a Caitlyn who doesn't have E or traps, it's very hard to play Caitlyn into that. I mean, you have like the super range advantage, but if he lands an axe and you get slowed at level 1, you can legit die at level 1 unless you blow sums. So we'll see. If it's Caitlyn top, that will certainly be the first time I've seen Caitlyn top in the NECC, and maybe ever.
Oh, I know you can't see me right now, which is probably for the best there, viewers. because I have my thinking face on. And my thinking face says that the Caitlyn top can work. Because you're already at a range advantage, you can bully Olaf fairly easily, right? And then if Olaf throws the undertow axe to try and slow you down, you have your 50 caliber net to get a bit more distance, which means that you can safely dodge the axes for the vast majority. And because you're already playing further back, it means you can get to your tower. Now, the caveat there is that if Olaf does get onto you, you're virtually dead. It's almost impossible for you to get away without some sort of assistance or a good flash. Maybe you get lucky with a trap early. And that's another thing, is that if you use your, Yordle snap traps effectively, it means Olaf can never walk up onto you until level 6. And at that point, you needed to have won the lane. So Miss choosing a very early game composition there as well in the top lane. And Graves ADC is something I have seen. I can't recall it being in NECC, but I have seen Graves ADC. It's a pretty powerful pick, and the all-in potential with Mumu is a significant kill threat that you can't just dismiss it. It does mean he's a little bit closer range, but when you have a melee support anyways, being a little bit closer range doesn't actually mean much. It's like being paired with a Samira or a Nyla. Both those very short range ADCs even. So honestly, it's a bit of a wonky composition. It's definitely a curveball coming out of left field. But if it gives them the advantage that they need, I'm 100% behind this awkward composition if they can pilot the roles and lanes correctly.
Yeah, I mean, if they can pilot everything correctly, if it is the Graves ADC, I'm certainly excited to see how they play it out. I would be surprised to see if this is something. I mean, imagine if this is something they're going to play now here for the NECC. They've practiced it before, but like I said, we'll see how things pan out. I assumed when the Maokai and the Graves were locked in that it was going to be Maokai top. It will be Maokai jungle, as it appears anyways. Graves top kind of falling out of the meta after last Worlds. Or excuse me, not the most recent one, but the one before that. But still could be something we see. We've seen solo lane Graves a little bit. It's been fairly strong for a while now, but again, we'll have to see until we get into this one where everyone's going. I definitely understand your point of Caitlyn has options to space away from the Olaf. I think the only issue is, especially like levels 1 and 2, if Caitlyn doesn't take E at level 2, one axe lands and you pretty much have to flash, especially assuming that the Olaf will go probably flash ghost, if not ghost TP. I know Olaf really, really needs that ghost, especially when you're playing him in the top lane. But only time will tell. I mean, both these teams at 1-1 here in this series. This next game is the do or die. You either take it home and you start your NECC season 1-0, or you take an unfortunate loss in this first series and go 0-1. But these teams have been competitive, especially there in game number 2. I think a lot of the things we saw in game number 2 was King's College just playing a little bit too on the knife's edge, just a little too aggressive, especially there in the base, like we mentioned, and doing things at unfortunate times, but still had a lot of shining moments there throughout. So we'll see how this one plays out here. We already talked about the side with the Graves and the Caitlyn, and where it'll go for Misericordia. What are you thinking about the draft for King's College? I mean, Olaf top, we see every once in a while. Nocturne, not a super common pick. And of course, Kassadin, one of the top prio picks across really all levels of play right now.
Whew. I'm going to say King's College, they have the tools to win this game. Olaf, if he gets ahead early, can be an absolute menace and nearly impossible to shut down. And Volt on Kassadin could probably 1v9 this game, maybe 2v8 with the help of Christian, because Christian on the Nocturne, that's an aggressive jungle pick. Can definitely do good on it, especially when you're into the likes of Maokai, who you may have tempo on. But what I like seeing right now is that we have Sketchy Pepperoni leading invade topside. Faintest Glow is there, but they missed the bandage shots. But Faintest Glow didn't catch it out, but he does flash the wall.
He's got a second bandage.
But the bandage advantage toss is still there.
Vantage Globe will certainly fall here, level 1, and the kill goes to his lane opponent. So he blows both summoner spells as well. Flash and Ghost expended. He dodges out on the first one, and instead of walking the opposite direction, opts to try and flash the wall instead. And Olaf doesn't have any dashes, so he will fall for an early first blood to the Graves. Now this Graves starts with a longsword as well, so it will be Graves up there in the top lane, far more traditional like we expected. But this lane's pretty hard now for this Olaf, as his lane opponent just sets to start with some extra AD.
Yep, Olaf also burned Ghost there as well. So that's definitely a yikes moment, or oof. And on the side of Misericordia there, it was just an Ignite burn from Sketchy Pepperoni, which at the end of the day is the only summoner that should be burned. So being able to collect that kill does wonders for this early game, and definitely sets King's College on their back foot to start it out.
Yeah, I mean, down some gold. Obviously, giving over that first blood kill is not what you're hoping for. But you do have some heavy scaling, of course, like we mentioned with the Kassadin. Just wants to sit back and get to ideally level 16, of course, but we'll see how things will play out. Of course, looking at just solo queue win rates, I know that Anivia was picked as the counter pick of choice for Oxen here, but does not have a good win rate into the Kassadin. Well, actually, it's right about even, so even though I say that it's one of the counters, Anivia has a 54% win rate in solo queue with only a negative win rate against the Kassadin, so certainly something that could play out well for them. But the gank just results in some HP advantage here for Voltabiz. That'll help out his laning at the very least. No summoner spells burned by Oxen, however. So, yeah, should be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how things go. Obviously, we saw some early fighting up there in the top side jungle, and both summoner spells being used does not feel good. Meat Cheesy's got the dash, so he's going to get on out. Flash forward comes out from Christian. They really want to get the flash out of this Graves, but they're not going to get it, so it's just a flash down for the King's College jungler.
I don't quite agree with that play there to Christian, just because it's throwing good resources after bad. Right now, Faintest Globe is a bad resource to invest in. He's down both summoners, and yes, he's an early game champion. But at the same time, you could also look at ganking in Anivia, who doesn't have any escapes either. But this also gives Miscreant tempo in the jungle as well. Luckily, Faintest Globe had recalled there, so Miscreant showing top ultimately doesn't accumulate in anything. And so it is going to be Miscreant picking up the first scuttle, and perhaps the second there, as Christian needs to double back for his blue buff and maybe run straight to the bot crab there, but I think by the time he gets there, it will already be gone.
Yeah, Christian just, instead of clearing that top side quadrant, instead ganks mid and top and doesn't get anything out of it except losing his own flash. So certainly difficult. He's definitely behind in tempo, as you mentioned, but it looks like Miscreant will instead go for these Krugs instead, giving Christian the opportunity at least to grab this bot side crab after he resets. Still did not take those Krugs either at or no, he did take the Krugs, excuse me. He has at 24 CS, so those Krugs did just respawn. But still, behind quite a bit in tempo, but in base, grabs 2 long swords for himself, so we can at least assume that it will be potentially a lethality variant of the Nocturne, but double long sword still gives you the option to go into things like Stridebreaker as well, far more bruiser and more often what we see in competitive. A big wave stacking here in the mid lane. Miscreant just going to go ahead and take his recall there. Nothing to find on the level 4 Kassadin. Of course, Kassadin just sitting back, wait until he has access to that ultimate ability. A level 6 Kassadin, not particularly strong either, but at least gives you the opportunity to play a little bit safer and a little bit more aggressive here against the Maokai.
And overall, I'm going to say the game's in a fairly even state. King's College are weathering that first blood loss pretty well right now. They haven't thrown away any other resources except for Christian's flash, which means that they've been able to stabilize the first 5 minutes of this game, which is a good look. It means that they're respecting their opponent. They're choosing to make the better play. And overall, the CS is comparative roughly across the board. There's a bit of a gap in top lane, but that is to be expected at this point. But I am surprised that Vault actually has a CS lead in mid.
Yeah, the CS lead mid on a melee into ranged matchup for the Kassadin is certainly not to be expected, but the CS lead the same and more commonly what we expected in the top lane, especially because Meat and Cheesy did start out with that first blood kill, got a longsword extra to his name when the first wave spawned, so we'll have a decent CS lead here. Level 6 is now here for all solo laners in this one, so Voltabyss has more options for trading patterns at the very least. Oxen just going to use that ult to clear away this wave very quickly. That's the strengths of the Anivia post level 6, of course, but Voltabyss is more than content, I'm sure, with just sitting back and farming up these waves under his tower.
To an extent, once Castle is level 6, once he has his ultimate, you really want to see him roaming around the map. But right now, it's a fight top lane to the death. And Meat and Cheesy dashes back to the tower, and it's going to be Faintest Globe having to run away with the ghost. So maybe I jumped the gun there by saying it was to the death. But you could tell that Faintest Globe wanted to kill Meat and Cheesy there, get some gold back in his pocket, crash the wave, deny some gold, and even up this lane. But unfortunately, that wasn't to be. Now, Vault's going a little bit aggressive here on Oxen. Ult's back in, and ooh, that's going to be a good amount of damage return, but Oxen doesn't have the mana to follow through. So, as I was saying, level 6 Casson wants to roam, wants to make plays around the map, and then Nivea's job is to prevent that by constantly shoving the wave in and making sure that whenever Vault looks like he's about to leave lane or roam, he loses gold for it or loses his tower. That's really the only way to keep a leash onto Vault here, but now Miscreant is going to save Oxen.
They get the egg out of the Anivia. Volt now in some trouble. He's going to use the Blast Cone to head on out. He's going to TP out. A move is coming up. He's got a couple seconds left. Stun not going to come out, and he is out of there. So TP forced to be used by Volt Abyss. Not what you're hoping for, since you're just having the TP to then immediately recall, but that is A-okay as he's out of there just fine. Picks up those sword shoes in base, as well as some more AP with the Amp Tome. And yeah, feeling good. I mean, you popped the egg on the Anivia at the very least. That makes Christian's job even easier on this Nocturne. No flashes here in the top lane for either side. That 1v1 did result in 3 out of 4 summoner spells being used between these two top laners, but besides that, nothing else. But now we got some fighting here in the bot side, and it looks like Goob is dead, will be dead himself. Sketchy Pepperoni will get that kill. The Ignite Tick gets the job done. Maokai's ultimate expended as well, just to secure that one. I mean, plenty of CC available for the side of Misericordia here in game number 3, but Miscreant trying to dodge out on some damage, but taking quite a bit. Ease forward goes the Ezreal, and he's in some trouble. Voltabyss will pick up the kill on Miscreant, but that's Sketchy Pepperoni getting one on Slain Souls. Another Bandage Toss flash forward coming out from the mist, and now Oxen is here as well. No flash for this cast means that Oxen will fall. Remember, no flash from that play in the mid lane. No jungler here to take this Drake. Sketchy Pepperoni, low HP, low mana, but that does not matter for Misericordia. They will secure the first Drake of the game. And if you look on your minimap, Christian is grabbing that first Herald to trade away these neutral objectives.
When it's all said and done right now, it is going to be Misericordia with close to a 1.5k gold lead. Now, the gold will swing and tie it probably closer to 1k once this Rift Herald is taken as well, because that is a pretty hardy objective. And when we look at the gold leads, it's still fairly even. It's mainly a 1k difference on supports, actually. That's where the gold difference
Yeah.
is.
And 2 kills for the
Amumu, yeah, an Amumu with 2 kills makes sense to have that gold. It's not the worst person to have it on because it means your engage is beefy, it's tanky, can get in there and make more proactive plays. So it's not the worst thing. It's also not the best thing because you would love to see that gold onto Caitlyn, who does have 3 kill participation. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So
Yeah, I mean, That is a-okay here in this one. I mean, small gold lead, like we mentioned, about 1.3k here for Misericordia in this one. I will say we didn't talk about it, even though we've been in game for about 11 minutes. We have another roster change in this one. The reason why things looked out of order is because Meat and Cheesy, the 80 carry last game for Misericordia, is now the top laner on the Graves, whereas it would be the Mist there in the bot lane in this one. I think that's their first appearance in
The Mist
this
was
game.
80
I think they
carry
played in
in
game one. Yeah, so
Game
Mist was 80
one.
carry game one. Did not play game two. Now here in game number 3, meaning Saintly Comic is not out here on Summoner's Rift in this one. And it's working out okay so far. Big lead in CS up there in the top lane. The Nocturne all coming down, and that will secure the kill as Christian grabs that one onto Oxen. And going to get the plates for his mid laner as well. This is what I'm hoping for. You want to snowball this Kassadin lane. Quick way to do it is from XP and gold, and XP and gold is what they will get from this Rift Herald. Nature's Grasp means that actually
Oh no!
this Volt Abyss in some trouble. He was tanking tower. The Rift Herald not spawned in range to start tanking, so with those creeps dying, that means it's a kill over to Miscreant. Just some unfortunate positioning means that Kassadin will fall.
It's a good heads-up play there by Miscreant to be able to turn that play around, because Oxen dropping there early meant that towers was largely undefended. So being able to not only stop the Rift Herald, get a kill, it's a good look, because now you can just transfer or roam straight down the bot, maybe look for a dive here as well. They're spotted out on vision, so it would be a little bit forced. But still, you apply a little bit more pressure, you get the gold back as well that would be lost to that Rift Herald. So overall, I'm happy with how MU Esports is doing in this game 3 thus far. Now we are transferring into the mid game right now. Even though it looks like all the towers are still relatively healthy, you know once that second Rift Herald spawns that these towers slowly become like paper. They will drop, especially with how this Kassadin feels accelerated. I don't know why. He just feels ahead of the curve than where he should be. And I don't think Miscreant's been putting enough pressure on Volt as well.
Yeah, not able to get much quite yet. I mean, he has died twice, but the second death, of course, we just saw some unfortunate positioning with that Rift Herald, and then the first one trying to rotate down to that Drake fight and just gets caught out without flash. And Kassadin ult, even though it is always low CD, was not low enough to make it away from the Anivia stun. Oxen doing some Anivia tech to block off the wave so that it will push to him. Not bad. We don't see many Anivia players do it, but if you've played plenty of Anivia, then that's the tech you will often see come out from them. So again, the lead is not super big, 1.3k, belonging to Misericordia in this one. Still no huge fights. We have seen a trade of objectives at a couple fights around them, but nothing else besides that. Faintest Globe now could be in some trouble, but does have access to the ultimate if he wants to use it. Not going to use it yet. Finally drops it. We're going to see Christian, going on to this Meat and Cheesy Graves, and he will fall. Christian now flashing forward, lands the Q on to Miscreant, so he's got the movement speed buff towards him, and now the W back might mean Miscreant in some trouble, but still alive will not matter.
Close.
Double kill for the Nocturne. Good positioning from Miscreant. The Q knocked him back in a tower range, so he nearly falls, but he will fall this time to the hands of Oxen, who gets the roam up to the top lane. It means Faintest Globe will get a couple hits here on the tower, but no plates means no extra gold. Now, I mean, this Nocturne, is pretty strong. 3 kills now to his name, already with a finished Eclipse, and got another Serrated Dirk in the inventory. Volt Abyss is just hitting away at this mid tower for free, but Sketchy Pepperoni has walked up. We're going to see
they're looking
Meat
for
and
it.
Cheesy there as well. Volt Abyss needs to try and get out of here. He gets the first turret. Oh, Sketchy Pepperoni uses the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and the Bandage Toss will not land. It doesn't matter that Volt has no mana. He is out of there. Great work. A lot of gold influx in his pocket after picking up tier 1. And the ult used by the Amumu feels pretty good.
You could tell exactly what Pepperoni wanted to do, and I think he waited a little bit too long. Maybe if he threw out the Bandage Toss early, forced Volt to ult in a less than ideal situation where he couldn't get over the wall because he was just lacking that distance, maybe they then get that kill. But also, Volt still has flash, so it was a rough play to make regardless. Still, great heads-up play by Volt to not only secure the tower, but also escape. It does mean that MU will get the dragon here, but it was a good effort there by Souls with that as ultimate, and even Christian threw over a skill shot as well. And that's what I mean. Just throw it out. You never know what happens. If they get that dragon, now dragons are tied at 1 apiece, and the Soul win condition is off the table.
Yeah, but instead it will be Misericordia. They've got both of them so far. No one up here on the top lane to respond to Faintest Globe, who's now a level ahead of Meat and Cheesy on the Graves. I think this tier 1 should fall, but W has expired, so no bonus attack speed, but Faintest Globe can certainly look for something on to Meat and Cheesy if he stepped up too far. Instead, opts not to. I'm going to say, Christian, you're just clearing out some wards, but Sketchy Pepperoni has already moved up here to the top side. You can see Goop is dead, still bot lane with his AD carry. Voltabyss going to take a little bit of damage from this Caitlyn. Sketchy Pepperoni not going to find an angle just yet. Nature's Grasp used as well, but won't find anything. And that's 2 important ultimates, but now we're going to see Christian looking on to this Graves, but not going to find him way too much CC as Sketchy Pepperoni goes on a killing spree, but now Meat and Cheesy in some trouble. Voltabyss is level 11. He's going to pick up 1 as the Graves will fall, and now Olaf is on a rampage. He gets 1, picking up the now 3-kill Amumu, looking first onto the miss. Flash forward comes out there, not able to find damage yet. Voltabyss looking for another, but cannot find it. The mist just lives. Voltabyss gets 1 in trade. It is a 2-4-2 in a 5v3. See the bot lane down there for King's College. Did get that tier 1 and going to keep pushing as well.
In terms of gold value, it's roughly an equivalent trade across the map there, which is good. It means that King's College, if they are losing in one side of the map, they can make a cross-map play. And having that awareness in order to do so is great. That's exactly what we want to see out of these teams. It means they have a mind on the macro and what they need to do to reach their goal of winning the game. And to be fair, I think there was a little bit of mis-targeting coming out of King's College. I think maybe if we don't have Faintest Globe chasing down Pepperoni for so long, maybe they get the kill on the carries instead and could prolong that fight. But instead, they go for the support, which means the carries are still up, so Vault never had a chance to re-engage that in a meaningful capacity. He could watch wave goodbye to his teammate as he eventually falls. But at the end of the day, it was an even trade, which is still good to see. Now it comes down to how does Misericordia play the Rift Herald game? Where do they use it? How do they use it? When do they use it?
Yeah, I mean, they've got options, absolutely, and now the options means that Goob is dead. Souls gets the turn back on to Sketchy Pepperoni, but won't find the hit with the Ezreal ultimate. 2 minutes left on the Drake spawn, but just a quick pick means he will fall, and now Christian looking in the top lane on a Meat and Cheesy. Not going to find him yet as Meat and Cheesy picks up 1. This is now a 1v2 for Christian. He has 2 items, so he's going to do a decent amount of damage. Looking now first on to Miscreant, and he flashes away, but still got the speed up on him. Christian just going to expend his own flash, looking, and now Meat and Cheesy in some trouble. Look at your mini-map. Volt Abyss will be there. Thought he was going to pick that one up. Instead, they will hand that one over to Souls. So Souls gets his first kill of the game here on the Ezreal. And the gold lead now in favor of Misericordia. Not quite up 1k gold, but approaching that mark here as the Miss farms up in the bot wave to try and counteract the push that King's College got last fight, excuse me, as we get a TP down here from Volt Abyss to defend this bot tier 1.
Overall, the game state is surprisingly even, which 20 minutes in is good to see. It also means that when these two teams finally go to break the stalemate, I would say, it's going to be a little bit more explosive. Now, the advantage or the most uneven aspect of the game is the towers. King's College has not lost a tower while taking 3. And they are looking for Volt right now. They have 3 members down here, but it's pretty hard to kill a Cassidon once he's under tower. So they're going to drop the Rift Herald well, and go straight to Dragon. And it is the Hex Tech Soul. So it's a different soul than what we've had earlier. I think it's the 3rd unique soul we've had. And the Hex Soul is definitely one that you want to have.
Yeah, very fortunate that they've been able to stack up those Drakes here early on. Hextech Soul really oppressive, especially with long-range characters like Anivia and Caitlyn. Even the Maokai as well utilizes it incredibly well with those saplings. So they're going to try to pick up their third of the game. Drake now below 6k HP, and it will almost certainly fall. Christian has the ultimate going in onto the backline first instead. Instead of going for the Drake, they're going to look for Mist. They'll pick him up. Encore will not find anything. Christian turns his focus on a Miscreant. Ignite is down. TV coming out from the graves. This quickly becomes a 4v4 again. Souls trying to kill one. Voltabyss will grab the kill onto the Maokai. Meat and Cheesy is here. E forward goes Souls, looking for this top laner. Won't find him yet. Oxen takes some damage, but not going to find him yet. Flash forward, ult forward is Volt Abyss. They're going to try to get the egg out of Oxen, but not going to find him dead just yet. Still alive. Stun wills wide. Volt Abyss picks up one and lives with about 1 HP. So King's College, they do not get the Drake. Unfortunate for them as they drop that one, but they do get a TP and 4 kills, and no members fall for the side of King's College, and they take down 2 tier 2s as well.
It almost started sounding like a Christmas song there. Yeah, the only thing we're missing was a partridge in a pear tree at the end there. Because they got multiple kills, they got multiple towers. It was just that one sole objective that they missed, which was the dragon. And Miscreant could look for something, but without the ultimate there, I don't think you'd be able to actually lock down either Gub is dead or Souls. So letting them walk away is probably the wisest choice. But it does feel like even though the fighting is punch for punch, King's College is playing these fights better. And you could tell why with that dragon fight there. Was that Misericordia there, they were not calling targets. They were scattered. They were hitting multiple people on multiple fronts. They weren't unified, which makes me think that their comms or communications are a little bit scuffed, maybe cluttered, or maybe they don't have a relevant shot calling voice to rally behind. Whereas King's College, they're calling targets, they're knocking people down one by one while playing the map as well. So they definitely have the better game sense overall and how they need to play their win condition, and it's working. They're up 5k gold here, and they can try and look for something on Faintest Club, but he's had time to farm now. He has 2 kills. He's not behind like he was before. So getting a pick onto the Olaf isn't guaranteed anymore, though they did just burn both of his summoners.
Yeah, they get both his sums and his ultimate, so the Ragnarok will be down for Faintest Globe, but locking down an Olaf is always going to be hard. He is still playing Olaf, so you can always press R to avoid everything that Amumu and Maokai want to achieve. But yeah, like you mentioned, has really farmed up, just hung out here in the top lane, got 2 towers to himself, and plenty of farm as well, sitting just a bit ahead of his lane counterpart, Meat and Cheesy, but now could be in a little bit of trouble on the wrong side of the map, but he's just going to walk on out instead. One thing to keep track of, Rod of Ages at 8 stacks for Voltabyss, and he's level 14, so he should get 1 more level at least in the next 2 minutes, and then that Rod of Ages, when it hits 10 stacks, will give him a level itself, so level 16 coming very, very quickly for this Kassadin. And that is not what you're hoping for, as they're going to look for something here on Meat and Cheesy. He uses both of his dashes to get on out, and they're going to look forward, still looking, flashes away. Voltabyss still chasing, and he gets the kill. He goes on a rampage. A lot of mobility on Graves, but not as much mobility as everyone else. Ragnarok going to be used here by Faintest Globe, looking for the kill onto Sketchy Pepperoni. Can't find him yet, will not get him. He wasn't able to get the axe reset, so the Amumu lives just barely as the kill is handed over to the Mist.
Just barely.
Yeah, very close.
Sketch of pepperoni is a snack that Olaf wanted, but sometimes you just can't quite devour the snack in time. But luckily, his team trades across the map. They get Meat and Cheesy, so it's still 1-for-1 across the map. They also get the next T2 tower, and surprisingly, despite withstanding a Rift Herald as well, King's College have not actually dropped or lost a tower this game. All their outer towers are still up, which is phenomenal to see, especially with their 5-6k gold lead still occurring. Now, the only pain point for them right now is the Dragon Soul, which spawns in 20 seconds. Meat and Cheesy has the TP, so we'll most likely continue to push this and then TP as needed, where you already see 4 members of King's College there at Dragon. The 5th, Christian, is on his way and has that ult to come in from a distance as well. So they will be fighting for this Dragon.
Now, Faintest Globe taking a little bit of damage. Keep in mind, this Drake fight includes a level 16 Kassadin. He's had that Rod of Ages at full stacks. He's got full Zonias. Remember, Seraph's now gives you a lifeline passive, so he's got a big shield to go along with it. Rod of Ages gives a lot of HP, so not only is this a tanky Kassadin, he's going to do a lot of damage and be dashing around a lot. Full mana. There comes the Nature's Grasp out on to Christian just first. He's going to turn the lights off, and now they're going to look going in deep. The Curse of the Time lands onto 2, and they're going to turn their focus first onto the jungler, and he gets shut down. Volt Abyss now going in, looking for one. Soul's going in as well. Volt Abyss looking first onto Sketch Pepperoni. He gets 1. Volt Abyss finds 2. Level kill for him. They're going to change their focus now onto Oxen. First he lands slow into Meat and Cheesy. Shield, though, will not do much. He will go down. Triple kill for the Kassadin. Oxen does get 1 in response. They also kill Christian off, but it does not matter. King's College win that fight pretty handedly and now stop the soul stack as they finally get their first Drake of the game at 27 minutes.
And that is what we wanted to see. The team fight execution coming out from King's College as predicted. They went in, they called their targets, they focused them down one by one by one. And you could tell that Misericordia there, they had the AoE damage. They had a little bit of that target prioritization, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day to work out. And once more, that's a little bit of the goal difference that has been occurring. You have to fight just that much better to overcome the goal difference, and they were in a choke. They needed to fight past that choke as much as they can. But even with their choke control, with the likes of Anivia's ultimate, the ultimate coming out of Maokai, or the Curse of the Sad Mummy, they had so many tools that they should have won that fight, but they just didn't. So I think at this point, King's College is going to win Game 3. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, they're going to go for this Baron first. Sketch Pepperoni going to walk up and drop a ward behind the pit and not hit the Vision Plant. So he drops another ward, but this objective's already gone. Christian has the ultimate, but decides to hold on to the Paranoia for now. Souls has quietly not had to do too much this game, but he's got 2 kills to his name, and he's putting in a ton of supplemental damage here. Finally gets the Mirror Mana online here at 28.5 minutes, and they're going to be able to siege. And a 1-3-1 is perfect for their comp. No one can really match either of these 2 solo laners in sides by themselves. So if you just put your Ezreal and your Caitlyn there in the middle lane, as quite a bit of damage goes down on to Gub is dead, it's really easy for them to really push their advantage. Someone has to eventually go down to match this Kassadin, but no one can really do it effectively. And no one can really match Faintest Globe 1v1 either. 2 items on the Olaf and 3 items, including a Rod for Volt Abyss, means he can practically one-shot anybody, but he is getting collapsed on now. You can see Maokai coming in from behind. They're going to look first on to him, but won't find him yet. Electric Brock does quite a bit to Miscreant, and he is very low already, but he won't find anything past that. Volt Abyss just going to continue to push this wave in, as he's got a pretty big wave to try and knock down this inhibitor turret, but that is one of the advantages of the Anivia pick, is the wave clear is quite nice. A Bandage Toss lands on to Christian, but he's got the Edge of Night, so the stun will not land. Inhibitor turret will fall as Faintest Globe now turns his focus onto his lane opponent, but won't find a mid. Inhibitor turret falling as well. Souls and Goob is dead, pushing onto this inhib, and now Olaf going as well. Christian looking forward, flashing forward, looking for the miss. Won't find him yet. Encore will not land on anyone as Oxen is going to grab that first kill onto Christian. Volt Abyss gets 1, looking onto the Amumu now, has the Seraph's pop, has the Zanya, is going to use it now, expends the ultimate from the Graves that keeps him alive, but he will finally drop at the hands of Miscreant. The Mist walking in as well. Souls and Goob is dead. They're at low HP. Goob is then nearly falling after stepping on that trap, but Faintest Globe still very healthy. Axe goes wide, so hard to get in, as they should just be able to walk on out here. I don't think risking this is something you want to do, but they might just push in one more wave and head on back. Less than 2 minutes until what would be Soul for Misericordia will spawn.
Ooh, okay, so King's College. They're in a
Oh.
pretty commanding point right now, and Painter's Glow gets caught
Painter's
out
Glow
here, stepping on a
forced the
trap.
flash. He's okay.
Has to, double subs out of there and ultimate. So now Souls and Gubba's dead. Well, Gubba's dead has to flash out. And I was about to say Gubba's dead is living up to the name. But fortunately, that is not the case just yet. And so, with a 8,500 gold advantage, King's College, they're knocking on the door. They are ready to knock down the space, and that third inhibitor tower is nearly dead as well. So at this point, I would almost like to see King's College group as 5 bot, push in as a team while the supers take care of the other 2 lanes. And when you have trip inhibitors down, it's basically just play the waves right and you will win. Fortunately, Misericordia there, they have Anivia, which is one of the best wave clear champions in the game. You'd probably be hard pressed to find someone who's better at clearing waves than Anivia with the ultimate there.
Yeah, I mean, wave clear is definitely easy for the side of Misericordia. I think that they also recognize they're not going to be able to get in to try and contest what would be Soul for them, as they're on Soul Point for this Hex Tech Drake. Instead, King's College is going to push in this bot wave, like we said, take control of this bot side jungle. Sketch Pepperoni going to drop some wards, but not going to find much else. They know there's a ward right there, but not going to be able to clear it on out just yet. I think if you're Misericordia, you just know you cannot get in if you try. You have too many supers in your base, and Voltabis has TP if you commit too much. Christian going to solo this one out himself. He's plenty strong now with 3.5 items, working on that Death's Dance that he can take care of this pretty handedly by himself. They send 4 members down to the bot lane to try and find something onto Souls, and Goob is dead, but won't find him anywhere. So Voltabis is going to clear away the top wave, get another push going. It will push naturally with those supers, but getting that gold and XP will not hurt. Kassadin now, if you thought he was scary before, he's even scarier now here. Level 18, 4 items with that last one being completed. The Rabadon's Death Cap. This Kassadin is going to output a ton of damage in the next team fight.
I'm just thinking right now, how long does Misericordia need to stall out this game before they can win it? Because they haven't taken a single tower. So even if they win one fight, that probably isn't enough to end the game. But with Pepperoni being caught out there, oh, now it's Christian.
We're going to look on to Miss.
Caitlyn.
Christian trying to find one, gets the cleanse out of them, but the egg going to be popped now from the Anivia, and that means Oxen will just fall. Voltabis does get stunned up, but it's a double kill already for him. Miscreant in some trouble, tries to dash back in, but will just find his demise. Voltabis goes into the Zonius. He's got a triple kill. He will eventually fall.
Not
it's a
towers.
quadra kill for the Kassadin, but he falls before the Penta can be achieved. 2 turrets go down, and the ult's already back up. The benefit of Axiom Art. Christian trying to get the kill, but instead will fall. Souls
Just end it.
Just still alive. All he has to do is hit the Nexus, but I think he wants the kill instead. Misses the Q, but doesn't need the Q. The benefit of Trinity Force has really autos do quite a bit of damage. So this one ends in a 10k gold lead in favor of King's College. They win game 1 big, and they win game 2 not quite as big, or excuse me, game 3 not quite as big, but still big in and of itself. They come out of week 1 1-0 after taking down their opponent here, Misericordia College, in 3 games.
It was an absolute fantastic series. It is exactly what I wanted from week 1 gameplay. You can tell that both teams pushed the envelope. They tried new things. They tried different player combinations, different sides, different compositions, all to find what works. It's a great time to experiment. And we had that banger game 2 that went back and forth. It was an absolute blast to cast this series. But at the end of it, only one team can win it. And as the name suggests, King's College reign over the Rift and don the crown for at least this series. Now, with a flawless record, it puts a little bit more pressure on them to continue performing for the rest of the NECC. I don't know. There's a lot of C's that I get mixed up in. But either way, congrats to King's College, and my praise to their opponent. Misericordia, you guys played well. You had a lot of good looks. Unfortunately, it just didn't go your way. It happens, but I'm sure you'll pick up a few wins in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, they looked competitive. It was competitive, especially in game 2, and some good moments in game 1 and 3. But at the end of the day, King's College comes out with the win. But that's all from us here with our first series. I believe we are scheduled to have another one after this. We'll see what the case is. But that's all from us here on the desk. Cyrus Sims, it was a good time casting with you. I had a good time. Hope you did as well.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good time, man. I know the faces that will be hopping in here instead will also have a blast. So make sure you stick around for the next series. We will be hopping into game 2 of that series. So it could be a quick one.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's all from us here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't go anywhere. We will have our next series, I believe, coming up fairly soon. Thank you very much for watching.
Welcome back, everyone. We're ready to go. I'm on the other side of the screen now because I am now the best minion that ever wandered off the Rift. And, to my other side is the loudest dude ever, right? Just the most annoying, obnoxious voice ever. We are Orbital and RMC, and we'll be bringing you the next series here today. And it is going to be the final one here on NECC 2. It is going to be University of Maryland Terrapins Academy versus York University Black. And my gosh, RMC, are these teams having an enjoyable time, let's put it that way.
Well, one of them is. First off, we are up in the Legends division now, the top division here in the NECC. Now, the reason why I said one of them is because of these two teams. Now, if you follow NECC, you'll probably recognize York University Black. These are the reigning champions from the Legends Northeast division last split. So they are the best of the best. Well, the Terps Academy, on the other hand, they're new to the NECC. So welcome. I'm sure York is giving you a very warm welcome. Some might even say too hot a welcome. This is game 2. We are hot dropping right into the middle of this series here. Game 1 has already happened, and York Black took it in stunning fashion. To be fair, I don't think Terps Academy knew what they were walking into tonight.
No, there was a moment where, and we got to watch the previous game as the other series was currently going on. Did go to game 3, which was very exciting. But taking a look at this, the final score was 24-8 is what we see. And it was a 21-55 minute game. So York University still have that dog in them, as we've been accurately portraying a lot of these teams. They do very well. Right now, though, getting into game number 2, we are seeing some of these champions banned away. The Garen being a top priority. And on the other side, right, we do see the Yone, some of these hyper carry champions that can get very annoying being banned.
Yeah, and we do want to highlight as well that on the blue side for this game is going to be York University Black. You might see some familiar names and some newer names. I'm not sure if Phoenix is a name change for Invent. And top side, we're seeing Sweet come back in, formerly their mid laner from last year. And on the red side, it is University of Maryland Terrapins, the Academy team. And unfortunately, because Riot is being Riot, they've blocked out the name. So we won't be able to see the names till we get in game. But it is Dexmex in the top lane, Elisima, or I Love You Shake My Head in the jungle there, Hop Tech in the mid lane, Bark Go Duck as their AD carry, and Aorus here as their support.
And they'll be rounding it out. But as we said, in this situation, I mean, York gave them a very, very firm handshake in the beginning, kicked the door in and said, we're taking this game. And now we're getting a lot more fun, because in game number 1, we saw some interesting champions. In game number 1, for the side of York, we did see on the top side the Jax, and this time around, it's a Fiora for Sweet Tangerine, so still a very mechanical champion, right? And that's very, very interesting. Unawakened also last time played the Evelyn, but since it's banned away, it's now the Maokai, which was actually used last time by the side of the Terps. So everyone's trading back and forth, and then in the mid lane, oh my gosh, RMC, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, that's another trade over there. Last game, it was Misha running that Tristana in the mid lane against the likes of Kassadin, and this time we're seeing kind of the turnaround where Hoptech has taken the Tristana as an answer to that rise there.
Oh man, there is some fun stuff going on here as we are drafting through, though. This is the compositions that we're getting to see feel very. We're still going to try and fight as hard as we can, and I love it, right? There is no shying away from this. This is Terps Academy saying we're going to fight as hard as we can. Bot lane, though, we're seeing that Ashe be an absolute pain in everyone's backsides here tonight, and it's not going to stop, right? We get to see Phoenix on it once again, and then the Karma to come out here. So Ezreal Karma going to be trying to light up that bot lane.
Yeah, and it feels like in this game 2 here, Terps Academy, they've adapted a little bit here. You know, picking something like an Ezreal Karma, that's not a bot lane where you pick it to smash the lane. That's well, we're just trying to farm up, get to that late game, get the Ezreal online here. So I'm expecting Terps Academy, they're looking more at the top side for the early game, bot side, a little bit more, for that late game here. A problem that they had, I think, a little bit in game 1, where it felt like all their lanes kind of got smashed apart at the same time. York, on the other hand, well, I've cast enough York at this point to realize that they are a team that kind of hand checks you. They are really, really good. And the first barrier is always, can you match them in lane? So when I look at this draft that they have here, yes, Rise skills up. Yeah, sure, Maokai's more utility. Fiora, definitely a hand check champion. Kaisa, very mechanical as well. I still think they're going to be looking to trade very heavily right from the get-go there and look for these early kills.
The early kills that can be an absolute linchpin in a lot of these scenarios and also cause some chaos, right? Because what these teams love to do besides handshaking is punishing mistakes. And in game number 1, we had a little bit of a glimpse here, and one of the stat lines that we saw, it was a little bit of a gap inside of the jungle. I think Illy had a little bit of a rough time and hopefully going to do a lot better with the Udyr this time around, because Udyr is personally one of my favorites to see right now in the jungle. Still very strong, still very powerful. Had a rough time, right? 0-8-3 versus Awakened at 6-1-4 from game number 1.
Yeah, and to be fair to Illy here, Illy was put in a rough position right from the get-go. You're picking a Maokai, which is more of a facilitative jungler. That's not a jungler that allows you to carry and sort of take over that game there. Whereas your solo lanes, the Camille and Cassin, were into counter matchups of Jax and Tristana respectively. So Illy, he was kind of just put in a rough spot from the get-go. And on the other side for York, Unawakened was on an Evelyn. Not something we commonly see right now, but a pick I think is very, very strong, and more importantly, a pick that can pop off and carry games. So with so many advantages there accrued for Unawakened, it was so easy to go in, punish Illy, and then just kind of snowball it from there. This time, I don't think that's going to be the case. The Maokai, I know I said I'm still expecting aggression from York, but if Unawakened can pull a carry performance in the Maokai to match the Evelyn, I'm impressed. I'm expecting the Maokai to get all the lanes instead rolling, especially that top side with Sweet Tangerine on that Fiora, or maybe the bot side where Logia is on this Kaisa.
As soon as you said carry from a Maokai, all I could think is go like Ludens or Night Harvester and see what you can do, right? Some absolute dumb stuff coming out like that. With like Dark Harvest on the back end, like that's all I can imagine, because it would be the
calm
most.
Down. They nerfed Demonic Embrace. They didn't nerf it that much.
It would just still be great. Like you walk into a bush, you get 8x3 saplings, and you're dead. Like what would be a worse way to die? Like think about it. Well, I guess the Teemo Shroom is there too. I
feel like a worse way to die would be to build that way and then be squishy, walk into the bush, and die as the Maokai because you built Ludens.
All right, that's fair. That is fair. Oh, man. But, again, if it can happen, if we do get to see that carry performance from Awakened, that'll be very, very fun, right? Because that just shows that, again, York are on top of their game, because we are talking about leading into the rest of the season. Teams are also not only playing for the season glory, but also to look towards those nationals, right? With those bigger tournaments at the very end, it's nice to see a full returning roster for the champions here.
Well, I don't know if York fully returned. Like I said, I don't know if Phoenix is a name change coming in. I believe it was Invent who was their support last season. And I know Invent and Dior, or Logia, after the name change here, they've played together since, I think, 2021. So that's a bot lane that's played together for an incredibly long time. But I feel like Nationals is still a ways away. We're in week 1. This is the first day of NECC spring here, Orbital. And I'm looking a little bit at Terps Academy. Game 1 wasn't a great showing for them, but it's their first time coming in. They are completely new to the NECC. And the University of Maryland has actually got 2 teams here in the Legends division. So a very strong university in general here. I don't know if Terps Academy is considered the second line or second string, potentially, but I just want to see what they can kind of do to come back from a bit of a rough game 1. It's not necessarily how you lose, but it's more about how you come back into series.
It's losing gracefully, I think, is a term that a lot of people like to use in that scenario, right? How calmly can you take the loss, and how calmly can you kind of bounce back in those scenarios? So we'll see if, of course, Terps Academy can pull that off, if they're able to give us that faithful moment as we are on to the Rift for game number 2. Again, we are hopping into the series midway to see how they play it out. We got some returning matchups in game number 1. If you're a fan, though, the one thing is HopTech is out for a bit of a grudge match return, and Awaken is about to say, this is how you play Maokai. I think those are the 2 main takeaways here.
Yeah, Dex Max running without flash on that Camille as well here compared to Sweet Tangerine with the flash. I think topside might deserve a little bit more focus here from both these teams, especially for Terps Academy if they want to pop up. For now, they're both teams opposite sides of the map, but the intention is different here. Terps Academy, they just wanted to get that bot side control. They've left their bot lane here. York, they fully want to invade. They want to kill, or they want to steal away and maybe 3 buff to start this game.
Oh man, this is Looks like they're not even dropping wards, so not even worrying about that scenario. And because of that, Illy is going to have... Okay, they dropped one ward. I was walking around, I was like, no way they don't do anything of that sort. But guess what? Illy finds a roaming Maokai and Awakened. Awakened is going to eat a bit of damage. Ghost? Illy's saying, you don't get to walk into my jungle without paying the appropriate price. So both junglers taking some tag damage and not going to have time to recall. So they're going to be working with a bit of short change there.
And both these junglers are tanky enough that they should be fine. Unawakened didn't get to stack those saplings necessarily, so might be a little bit slower than he otherwise might have been. Illy, though, did burn the Ghost. And I want to highlight that because Ghost has a shorter cooldown than the Flash. I think it's perfectly fine to burn it early, but he didn't get the Flash out of Unawakened. And he won't have that for maybe the first 2 ganks that an Udyr might look for here. So we'll have to see if that comes back to bite him, or whether Illy's just going to power farm for the initial bit, wait for it to come back up before looking to force some ganks.
And I want to ask you this, because we also saw a difference in the fact that Unawakened currently has a potion in pocket. Do Udyrs not run potions anymore? Is that pretty standard as well?
Did Illy have one and use it already? I mean, Illy is...
No, Illy ran out of base without a potion, just had the standard jungle item.
I mean, Udyr's, a lot of the junglers now actually don't need the potions on the clears. It's just if you want to gank after, then you might need the potions a little bit here. You can see Udyr is a little bit low on health. Now, if you full clear and on that Grom, you can look for ganks. You'll probably still be fairly healthy. So I think Illy just kind of saying, it's fine. I'm not looking to go hyper aggressive for right now. I'd rather save that money, maybe rush an item here.
Yeah, I was going to give it the benefit of the doubt as well if you had, some sort of ward. But, a flash after the root comes in. So Aorus, they are going to trade back. That's a first blood for Barco Duck, which is big. But do you lose your life here? It should be your life lost. Phoenix picks that one up. So kills go their way. Okay, sorry. My brain did not want to work right there. For some reason, I was sitting in the dark right there. Unawakened picks up a kill. So does Phoenix, and Logia's out for support.
Yeah, unfortunately, the AD carry here, not able to pick anything up. I think that's fine. You got both kills there. Props to Terps Academy, though. They actually find that first blood onto Bark Go Duck here. An AD carry overall that you and I are a bit more familiar with, from his time in Amateur on Return of the Middle Sticks here. We know he's a mechanically good player, so getting him that first blood, accelerating the pace of that Ezreal towards that 2-item spike is absolutely massive. Terps Academy, Aorus is roaming up here with Illy.
They're trying to give Awaken the same treatment that Illy had before. They are roaming in. They're going super, super far deep, and they're going to steal away some camps. So Awaken is spotted out. Aorus with the early roam now means Awaken is going to get kind of pinched here. Slow is there. Follow forward, and I don't think they're going to burn that flash either. The twisted advance to jump in. Root comes down from that Karma, but Sweet Tangerine is here. Do the bottles get procced? Welcome. There's the flash that you were looking for, and Sweet Tangerine now has to back away. In goes the riposte. Are they going to keep fighting? Awaken almost gets grabbed by the tether, but they're still dancing it out. 3v2, no one dies, but flash burn by Awaken. Can Misha do anything? Misha wants to eat. What are you going to eat? Are you going to eat a hard rock? Are you going to eat a cannon? Is that what you're going to find? You get a little bit of root. You get the twisted advance, and you do turn it around. The third turnaround, round 3, yields some results. It is a 1-for-1, but you will absolutely take that flash in. Sweet Tangerine wants to get even more. The Sweet Tangerine is oh so sweet. Dexmax with no flash is going to walk away with a bit of frag damage. But my gosh, did that work out in their favor? York University turning a 2v3 into a couple kills.
Yeah, and for York there, it looked super risky. Oh, Misha still going in here. Steals away the big Krug. Will clean
and
house
more
as well.
You
really well played from them.
Oh, yeah. You love it. That's Misha like, listen, I helped gank. I got 2 assists. Now I get your camp.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, was the entire series of plays from York there, they were intentionally baiting up there. It looked like they were being incredibly risky, but they were actually trying to buy time for Misha to shove that wave in, and Hoptech wasn't able to quite match here, and that's why we're starting to see a bit of a CS discrepancy into that mid lane. Normally, you wouldn't see that. Tristana mid, one of her strengths is her ability to push really hard early on, and for a Rise, before your first back, before you pick up that tier, you don't really have enough mana to push that normally. Now, Misha did rush that tier to start, but needs time to stack it. You don't have the Duran's Ring, you don't have that Sapphire Crystal to give you that mana. So it was really important to try and buy that space for your mid laner.
And they did okay. They definitely did okay, and Now they're going to work towards the mid game and hope everyone gets there in good standing, because in game number 1 we saw a lot more, but Awakened gonna chase in, already about half HP, but Illy is gonna come over the wall, because remember, no flash. This is the rebuttal, but no, the turnaround is still making it work, and Awakened is out. Awakened survives the outplay in the bot side, will yield more than just 1. It will yield 2. Will it yield even more? Yes, it will. They all live. The juggle, the aggro, the Legends champions remain on top. 3-0.
Okay, if top side was all planned, bot side was actually really risky. And this is that hands check we're talking about, right? They are literally challenging you. Can you outplay us? And this bot lane has been so weird over the fact that whichever jungler thinks they're winning ends up dying first. We saw Unawakened go for that gank, give first blood over to Barco Duck. And this time, Illy thought that, hey, I've got the drop. I've got the information advantage here. And Illy ended up getting burst down so quickly.
I was not expecting Illy to die that quickly. It was very surprising, and it's because they went for the blasting wand first. I understand that this is standard, right? But I do feel there might have been some better item choices than going straight for the damage source first when you've been on the losing end of a lot of these trades, right? 0-1-1, not the worst, but you've been being invaded. Your lanes have been a little bit flip-floppity, and the flop has been hard on that side, so to go damage just means you gotta be a bit more careful of your shot selection, because this top side is causing some problems. We said aggro is aggro, and Awakened says I'm all aggro.
I'm just thinking back to the draft when we were saying, oh, Maokai can't carry orbital. He's not a carry. I'm Awakened, kind of making me eat my words a little bit here. Does go a little bit too far, though.
Oh my gosh.
He's trying to be the carry, but he's buying, again, it's about the space you're buying, right? Before we were talking about Misha getting that space. This time, Sweet is getting all this time on this push, and Dexmax wanted to just recall and TP right back, catch that wave. He can't do that anymore. Even with that TP, that wave has already bounced. So I appreciate that Dexmax is not going to burn that teleport. If anything, they're calling for a rotate, because Terps Academy has done a great job, took the dragon, went, okay, you know what, Unawakened dead, let's just rotate top, take that Herald as well.
I give him huge props for that, right? Really being able to say, hey, don't worry about those kills. Let's go ahead, start focusing on other opportunities. Hard rotating out, though, means Sweet Tangerine is in a rough spot. Level 7, yes. Ignite up, yes. Focus on clearing the wave and not make that blow as hard. Down goes a little bit of a plate. And you know what? You stave off death and you allow your mid lane to shove with 4. You may not have gotten most of the kills, but you might get first tower. Huge clear coming out of Misha, though, who now has no mana. Well played on both ends. That is the Terp fighting back and trying to close that gold gap.
Yeah, and that was massive. They took all the plates
and
pretty
more?
much without Herald. Oh wow. Okay, Dexmax paying the price, though. Yeah, I was thinking he's playing a little bit with fire by sticking around. Still, first turret to Terps Academy, and really well played from them. They're recognizing that, hey, the slower pace is not working out for us. The lanes, the hands checks, no bueno. So let's pick up the pace, take some turrets down, kind of brute force as a team. And I will say, it worked. They will lose the bot side turret, and they lost Dexmax, but in the grand scheme of things, getting all those plates, getting first brick kind of evens things out.
It kind of evens things out, but it definitely makes the game not feel as bad, right? You don't feel as bad for, losing Dexmax on that bot lane, who is still able to come back and farm up real nicely. They're even putting Aorus in that bot side to ensure that Dexmax is allowed to farm up and try and catch up, because Sweet Tangerine has had a phenomenal time. Currently 67 CS, third for the team, but way above most of the members on the other side. So the Ciora is going to have a pretty nice time. And that's what they're worried about. So right now, Illy is going to take that Rift Scuttle, close that one out, but enough time has passed where Awaken is now hiding on the top side, ready to pounce on whoever tries to save this top side tower.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Unawakened on that blast cone didn't see Illy taking the Herald there. Probably couldn't have stopped it, but maybe would have tried for that cheeky steal. Sweet getting some more alone time in this top side. And here, Dexmax coming up. This is really risky. Unawakened just waiting in the wings here.
The question is how well can Sweet Tangerine bait? And it looks like it's pretty good. In comes all the roots, and you parry perfectly. You get a double stun as well. The hand check working out, the flash into the heal. You live. Hop Tech better hop the heck out of there, because you're not going to enjoy what happens next. It is the carry Maokai on the back of the Tangerine.
Oh my god, I have missed watching Sweet Tangerine. I remember him as a mid lane player, but his mechanics have transferred perfectly into that top side. I can't believe he got away from Hoptech there. And I think Hoptech couldn't believe that he got away for a second. There was that hesitation, like, do I go back in? And that hesitation cost him. Unawakened, just ground pounding this Tristana, this little Yordle. Now Illy trying to come in from behind Misha with the Realm Orb.
Oh no, and because of that, now the stun comes in. They split focus though. They did split focus a little bit, so Misha has to try and flash. Barco Duck goes over the wall after getting exhausted. And Hoptech TP'd in just to ensure no one else powered through. But that's the power that York currently hold. In a 3v3, they have to call for their mid laner.
Yeah, and it's reflecting in their CS a lot here, Orbital. If you look across the board, the only person who's winning out in CS right now is Illy for Terps Academy. And you're an Udyr. Compared to a Maokai, you're expected to outfarm. Every single other lane right now, Terps Academy is falling behind. It feels like they've got to invest more each time to answer York. And as this goes on here, this is why I applauded the fact they try and rush mid, pressure her out.
Oh my gosh.
Because if not, that's going to happen in extended laning.
Sweet Tangerine is having a blast, but you were talking about the lanes. I want to talk about the individual players because at this point, even the support is outpacing the support, right? Phoenix currently has 4 kills, tied with Awaken, and it's currently, look at that, about 1,500 gold difference. I want to say that's one of the closer differences in gold as well. That is ridiculous to see. In the mid lane, actually, the gold difference is not that high, right? Hoptech is currently up about 900 gold, so that's actually a surprising difference that we see here. But safe to say, that gold difference might actually end here. Good buffer on that rocket jump. You're not going to follow under the tower because Dragon will be up right now.
Orbital, it's closer because Phoenix is richer than Misha right now. That is not an average support.
Oh, and Illy is ill right now. That is... I can't even fault that. You were trying to get some wards down and try and clear stuff out, but it just didn't work in your favor. Awaken takes the Blast Cone, and with the jungler down, this should be York taking a tie with the Dragon.
Well, Orbital, Scumbag support, stole kill from AD carry.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, never mind. Logia regains his AD carry status. I was going to say Phoenix is the AD carry there. He's doing more work. He's getting more kills, but Logia winning out the 1v1 against Hoptech. The one person who was doing well on the side of Terps Academy, and now in the bot lane, I'm worried for Barco Duck here. The fact that Unawakened's on the side, that turret is really, really low. I think you're confident enough to start looking for dives. Phoenix rotating down as well.
I agree. I feel like they're also saying the exact same thing when you see a kill on the top side, but it doesn't matter because bot side is going to give even more. Set and match. Arrow getting flashed out of by Barco Duck, which we talked about, has had some mechanically awesome moments. But mechanically awesome right now is only staving off death. A kill on the top side, yes, but a kill on the bot side for York means they get a tower to boot.
Man, York, I want to remind everybody, York Black is the reigning champions of the Legends division here. Hoptech, surely he finds a kill here.
Yep, that's a solid one. Gale Force is completed, so Hoptech finally able to make some of those smooth moves.
Okay, props to Hoptech, because Terps Academy, the problem is I still don't have a good read on how good they are. It feels like their ideas are good. They've got a good plan. The issue is execution right now, and it's not like they're executing poorly. York is just being York, and they are kind of just doing better than they have any business to right now. Trying to pull the Great Escape, but that's a Fiora.
One more tag, and you have a Vital open. The Vital was good, and guess what? Awaken says I still want more. Flash is going to be up in about 10 seconds, so I think Dexmax is out. But I have to agree. And the arrow from downtown lands, and that gives Logia a kill as well. There has been non-stop frenetic action, and you said it, right? York are the reigning champions, and they're there for a reason. They know when a kill, they smell the blood in the waters, and because of that, they will push as quickly as they can, almost matching Terps from the earlier game. Welcome to Dexmax. Dexmax party of 0 to death. Root goes in, Awaken does die to the tower, and needless to say, they dove a little bit too far. The pace that they've been running may have been too far. Root goes down, Smite comes in, and Illy gets their second kill of the game.
Okay, so I was just actually about to say before that play happened, York has completed phase 1, which is they've got a massive lead. Normally, this is where they go to phase 2, which is nowhere is safe. They will dive you onto turret. But Tips Academy played that beautifully to punish that. Dexmax on his most comfortable champion, showing his mastery of that. And I love this from them. As soon as, they get the kills, they start saying, okay, where can we go right away here? Herald's open, let's take that. They made a good play off the first Herald. Let's see what they can do with the second one now. I really do feel like for Tips Academy, it's such a difficult Herald to use now, because whenever you use it, if you use it on a side lane, you get a bit of gold, that's it. Ideally, I'd want to see them use it mid, but it feels like they have to overextend in order to threaten that inner turret right now.
That's such a first world League of Legends problem to have. Man, we don't know where to drop the Herald, man. We could just get like a little extra gold here. We could get a tower. They're so good right now, right? That's an amazing problem to have.
No, it is. If it was you're trying to decide, which lane do we want to drop it in? It's all great lanes to drop it. That's a first world problem.
Oh, wait, yeah, brain bad. I forgot who got it. All right, listen, don't listen to me. There's a reason RMC is the better caster here. Just leave me out of it, okay?
Yeah, Terms is a problem in trying to use it in where they want to here. Unawakened, getting punished.
Well, this might be the opportunity. They do catch that lonely Maokai, and welcome to Opportunities Abound. Maybe they get a bit more than just a bit of gold, because they're actually the ones that have the Herald, not York. I'm an idiot.
And I mean, that is the best opportunity they should get to drop it mid, but because of the side lane pressure there, Sweet Tangerine pushing on that top side there, just took down an inner on his own. And Dexmax can't match right now. Look at the item disparity there. There's a whole Ravenous Hydra on Sweet up from Dexmax. So normally your Camille is just trying to hold, and you normally can hold even if you can't win the 1v1s. But that's not the situation. Sweet is threatening dives under turrets right now.
Sweet's threatening everything. Not so Sweet right now, but that doesn't matter as much as the fact that with Sweet Tangerine pushing anywhere, right now, the global objectives are really all, I want to say the Terps have, right? They have been on most of these objectives and at least fought for some of them. And the Dragon score is still kind of even, but this is where it gets difficult, because if York even so much as glance at this Dragon, it will be theirs. That's the problem that I think is currently ensuing here. So Illy is hoping to make a play somewhere and might have found it. Misha is going to eat a brunt of this damage, but look at that. A single rotation of spells from this Rise deters Illy from going further.
And even scarier is the fact that Logia and Phoenix are starting to come up as well here. And just the threat of that, look at what happens to Eurus.
Oh my gosh, the pain. The pain is there. The follow-up might be enough, though, as that's going to be a rocket jump in. They get one. The downstairs is going to do, but look at that praise here. Logia said, give me that chance. And is not going to look for one more. Illy dancing in the winds here. Are they going to flash over the wall? Yes, they do. Yes, Logia. Yes. Thank you so much for that. It's a cross-map ace for York.
The dive coming out from Sweet and Unawakened here. Sweet was already willing to threaten the dives onto Dexmax, and that's exactly what we were talking about for Dexmax. The 1v1, not safe, much less a 2v1. And Orbital, you're saying if York so much glance at Dragon, it's theirs. Yeah, Tips Academy was aware of that, so they didn't even look at it. It was the right call. But when you're this far behind, unfortunately, even if you don't look at it, York is still going to punish you.
It's like York were just like strolling along, dropped an apple from their bucket, and Terps were like, can we get that? And York was like, no, I'm coming back for that. Give me a sec. They don't care. Everything on the map is currently theirs, and they're not stopping. From Dragon to Towers, 5-2, by the way, in the Tower score. They are now about 9k up and counting at 19.5 minutes. Phoenix, though, might be the only resounding issue, but guess what? A teleport in the bush means it's a trap. Now they try and get away. True Shot Barrage lands across, but another teleport from the back means Sweet Tangerine is going to buffer and stun up Dexmax. That was a tether you did not enjoy bringing down, Aorus, and you might have just baited your teammates into death. Yeah, heal up as much as you want, but it's not going to save anything. Barco Duck said, hey yo, let me get at least one. No, it's a Tristana that picks it up, but in comes Logia. Back over the wall, Hop Tech goes, but it's to the safety of the wilderness as your base is getting obliterated.
I don't know what to say. When leaving your base, Orbital, is safer than being in it for Hop Tech right now. Like, just getting hunted, pushed out here. Top inhibitor turret going to fall. Mid likely to follow. I think Terps Academy forget the top side. Try and defend what you've got mid, but they're distracted.
They're distracted. They're confuzzled, they're bamboozled, whatever you
goodness.
want to say. Arrow even making an appearance here from the Ashe in the mid lane. And they're half health. Logia is half health. And finally, Hextech ultimate comes down. But do you get the kill? Logia spraying and praying for the back line. 1,000 gold to Dex Max as that kill goes down. Awakened is going to hide in the bush like a good tree does. But a good tree will get cut down. They pick up 2 from the top side push and are now looking for a bit more. Phoenix away and alone here. Doesn't have a bounty, but that's not the main goal. Baron is up with the jungler and ADC down.
Sweet is
They
coming.
have a chance. Sweet is coming. Sweet is hoping to make a play. It's only half health. They can do this. And the Rise is still pushing on
They
the other
made
side.
it Hoptech.
And that's going to be a great buster shot. Hoptech keeps alone, and now they're going to turn their focus. Sweet Tangerine keep eyes on that bottom side.
Oh my
and they
goodness.
go. In goes the Sweet. We are going to continue to follow one or the other. And there
That's
it goes.
one.
The grand challenge has been thrown. And they are going to continue. But the Q lands. Bark goes duck. Might have just saved this Baron play. Hoptech is going to look. And the 2-shot barrage. So for what it is worth, they have held on. Terps take 2 and look to finish the Baron.
Baron down to 4k here, burning down, but Logia is on their way. Can they get out here? They're running for their lives, and Terps Academy staying alive right here.
It's the bold plays that sometimes need to be called, and my gosh, they just skate away with a very, very nice prize. Might I add, I believe all of them got the buff, so all 5 members are able to use a stall Baron, and I hate calling it that. I hate calling Barons that. But it is a stall Baron, right? You're able to maintain your wave state for the current time, for at least a little bit longer. You're able to have some pushing power against these massive incoming super minions, or at least there were going to be super minions, except the inhibitors came up, because I can definitely see that happening.
Unfortunately, we don't have those Baron timers that the LCS does here. Now, I'm not sure if Dexmax actually picked up the Baron. It was pretty close, and the reason why I highlight that right now is because they still need somebody to answer Sweet Tangerine. And we've already seen that Dexmax can't do it 1v1. But with the Baron buff, maybe they can hold that turret here. And for Terps Academy, like you said, it's stalling Baron. They can't really push with it. They still don't really win most fights on open ground. They're punishing York really well for overextensions and picks. And they might be able to do it again here.
Oh yeah, they absolutely can. And it's Phoenix once again with Awaken. Guess what? It's almost the exact same 2 that have fallen. Yes, Phoenix is able to get out, but not after burning everything. Oh, Barco Duck said, hey, Logia, what's up? Logia said, hey, nothing much. Let me get the heck out of Dodge here, please. Illy is going to chase, though, because they know Awakened is away. They have to keep eyes, though. Sweet is on the top side. They are going to dance in as far as they can. Dexmax going to body block most of the attacks and get the empowered Q, so they do win out. The follow-up, though. Misha is going to try and check up. And Misha, you realize you're in the wrong spot. Mega Shield comes up. A resounding blow with the bouncing blade, but it's not going to happen. The magic is not strong enough. And safe to say, it's another 3 for Terps. They're hanging on so hard right now.
And Sweet's playing with fire. Orbital, are York throwing this? It feels a little bit like they had all the advantages, and then they get picked over and over and over again. Illy, 4, 5, and 8 doesn't sound amazing, but huge props to Illy for being the one to find a lot of these picks, just kind of brute forcing it with that Udyr running targets down. And it's working. Suddenly, what should have been a stall Baron isn't a stall Baron. They're actually pushing with this.
And I think that has to come from Awakened as well. Awakened has been one of the other ones to get caught out so often. And yes, you were the carry early on. You were getting so many kills. But remember, you aren't as, I want to say, hyper tanky as a Maokai normally would be. This is that burn build that you're normally used to. So you do have to compete with the team, which is exactly what they're doing. They're going to go in. No grab comes out. No steal happens to Awaken because that you lose the Maokai once again. In comes Sweet Tangerine from the other side, but the Pincer might work. That's going to be a 3-man riposte. No stun, but the damage is not enough. And they're going to fight it back. Yes, you might have lost the dragon, but York are looking for the kills. That's going to be a shutdown. Double kill, triple for Logia. Illy, you got the dragon for your team, or at least Barco Duck did, but you're going to watch as your teammates fall and try and defend against 4.
And for Terps Academy, it looked really good. They probably felt really confident, but they just took the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. I take Dragon, you get my base. Hoptech and Barco Duck, they're still down for 20 seconds here. York, they're looking to just end.
I think they easily can, right? In goes Illy and realizes Illy is not as strong either. Gets absolutely destroyed here. Aeorus just barely coming up. Arrow is going to slow them all down.
Oh,
but it did do enough.
clear.
You got the kill on Phoenix as well. Yes, that's not an ADC, but it is a member. Oh. Oh, Aeorus. Aeorus, I'm not sure you can do that when you just got 4-man swept right there and a delayed ace. But it is enough, right? They do stop the base from being taken. And honestly, considering that another inhibitor was open, only losing one inhib in that push feels kind of good.
Yeah, for as high tempo as this game has been, props to Trips Academy. They are making all the right decisions. Illy, even with that stopwatch there, the idea was to let the burn clear the minions. And between that and Aeorus, they actually did manage to keep the minions away. If the minions don't die, that's game over. Now, Dexmax on his own here. Where's Unawakened? They miss each other. Ships passing.
Thank you so much, Observer, because even we were wondering what's going on here. Misha, though, eating up Aeorus and Dexmax coming over the wall to save the support, because you can't have anyone dying right now. Anyone dying right now loses a lot of Baron pressure, which is coming up in a minute 30, and I know that sounds weird, but safe to say, you got to get the wards down, and if you don't have some members, you're going to lose vision.
Yeah, and for Trips Academy, it's more than just losing Baron. You lose anybody right now, you could potentially lose game, especially if it's one of the carries, especially if it's Hoptech, Illy, or Barco Duck. York, they can afford to lose a person and still be there for that Baron. We saw that before. Walking in one after another, they stalled up for so long. They came so close, but this time York, they're finally choosing to slow things down. They're setting up the bait for this Baron right now, getting that vision line down.
Oh no. Oh, that's a late call from Illy. Illy's still on the bot side trying to recall. This is giving so much time over to York. Of course, Baron's not really in the eyes, but that is going to kind of region lock Terps into their base for the time being. They're not going to have any vision. Look at the vision tree right now. York have it fully under control. As you said, they are grouping up there saying, we are done messing around. We're done dying in random spots. Look at that. It's fully under the control. Yes, there is a single ward in the river, but really, are you going to trust teleports to that singular ward?
I don't think you have a choice. Well, that ward's gone. Okay, so...
oh, it's not even an actual ward. It's a Scars. Oh, that feels so bad.
Yeah, there's nothing. The Terps Academy right now, they have to walk in blind. They don't have any blue trinkets right now to use to see it. So I appreciate this from Terps Academy. They're saying, we're not going to walk to Baron. We know you're doing it. Well, you're probably doing it, but we can't even risk it. Please don't prove me wrong. Please don't walk into this.
Okay.
They're going to keep pushing it. They
are going to try, but yeah, now they have to leave. You can see them. They gotta recall. Come on, recall. Thank you. Okay, we see a lot of them going down. Sweet Tangerine is going to push that wave in. That is the only wave. I do want to point out that is the only one there. Dexmax is the only one. They're going to lose an inhibitor. The rest of the team is now collapsing in, and they're going to try and stall. So right now, Terps are on their final defense. The rest of York saying, let's play this one smart. Let's play this one by the book fast, but by the book. Poke being thrown out. No real wave there. Yes, the cannon minions firing away, but that should be cleared out with that True Shot Barrage and a few more auto attacks. Illy, you're trying to root up. You're fairly tanky. Only a quarter of HP lost. Okay. Awaken. He sets up a little bit too far. In goes the Wild Growth. In goes the Twisted Fence. In goes the Arrow. They forgot the tree. Down goes the support, but it might be enough. Sweet goes over the wall while everyone's dancing around. They got Logia. Logia is dead. Rocket jumping right into the middle. Bobtech, though, is the last damage dealer alive, and safe to say that's not enough. The jump in might have cost them their lives as York react appropriately and take the kills. This is an ace for York, and it is a 2-0 for the reigning champions here of the Northeast Legends Division. As they will clear out the rest of the minions, they will collect their Week 1 win, and they will say, welcome to the NECC to the Terps.
What a way to end the stream here, Orbital. Just what a game. It was incredibly fast. You know, we talked about last game, it was 24-8, and we thought that was already pretty high pace, a sub 22-minute game. But here in this one, both teams just going back and forth, and the way it ended as well there, it did ultimately come down to Sweet just finding a way into that backline, ripping them apart. York University, they've got hands, but props to Terps Academy, because those guys, their macro, their brains were clean this game.
To give you an idea of how fast that game was, it wasn't until the last 2 team fights, I believe, that a few members had level 16. I don't think I have to explain how fast-paced and how many kills had to go down for that to happen. That's how fast and that's how accelerated they were playing. And the fact that York came up with a strategy on the fly to even battle things back out and to force some of the scenario. It was, or not York, sorry, Terps. They were both going so quickly, and I love it, right? This is how fast. They're going too fast for my old man brain. I am 30 years old. You can cut me some slack here for week number 1. Still, though, phenomenal job on all sides, giving us a great show, even if it was just one game. Even if it was just one that we got here on the stream, I couldn't love it more.
Yeah, and I'm just glad we got to catch this one. Game 1 was really good as well. We saw it off screen. And yeah, you know what? You're talking about plans for York, and I was just thinking in my head, I don't think they planned it. I think that's just York being York. They played around. They managed to pop off, find those kills. Again, just incredible play from them, like across the board. And Unawakened, I know he ended up dying a lot on that Maokai, but his early game, it did look really good. And for a second, I was thinking maybe he builds Medjais.
At least he doesn't build Zhonya's afterwards, right? If you go Medjais, you don't get to go defensive. I think that's the rules here. So if we do get to see Unawakened build that Medjais next time, we'll see how it goes. But for right now, they take the 2-0, and they will go home on the week very happy. Good luck to the Terps next time, though, and we'll see if they can climb their way up as newcomers to the NECC Legends Division and see how far they can go. But with that, we'll go ahead and be done with the NECC 2 stream, but don't go anywhere. I think there's still maybe 1 or 2 more games still going on the main stream. We'll have to double check that, or you can go check it out yourself and see if they're still going. But that'll be it for us. My name is Orbital. With me has a random minion caster for the finale here of this second stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great night.